the hell?
A federal judge has just ruled that officers in one of the nation's largest police departments must immediately stop carrying Sig Sauer P320 handguns.
That was an interesting piece of footage from a couple months ago where a female officer set a backpack down like this on the ground and her holstered firearm went off. There's dozens of pieces of compelling footage of the guns going off in circumstances where they shouldn't be going off.
For people that aren't familiar with your background, Ben, you're a world champion competition shooter and practical shooting instructor. Multiple-time USPSA national champion, European handgun champion, and IPSC world champion.
Most guys like shooting at a very high level winning matches, they don't want to touch this stuff. It's controversial. They don't want to rock a boat that is good for them.
So explain to people what happened with that USPSA ban, because I don't know if people know the story from you.
No, most people probably don't. Like, by the way, I've never explained this to anyone. It's mostly mental at the high levels of the game. It's about being able to execute under pressure, manage yourself, manage your emotions. I don't talk about this a lot either, but I got diagnosed with cancer. They called me, they're like, we want you to come in for surgery tomorrow.
So yeah, dude, for people that aren't familiar with your background, Ben, you're a world champion competition shooter and practical shooting instructor, multiple-time USPSA national champion, European handgun champion, and IPSC world champion.
Well, there's a little technicality in there. I can't be European champion. So I've won the European, I'm not European. So I've won the European championships one time, which was cool. It was probably the best match I've ever shot, like as far as my performance, but I stood next to the podium. I'm serious. I was like, oh, this is very nice. Hello. And then, well, I'm not European. I can't be European champion.
Well, that's stupid. I guess it makes sense, but it seems like semantics. Like, why would they even let you compete then?
Because it made the match better for them.
Interesting. Well, yeah, I guess they can't let some American come in and...
Well, we wouldn't do that. Well, we would here because Americans don't really think this way, but in other countries, like that's pretty standard practice where they're like, yeah.
Why was that your best performance? Like, what stands out from that?
Oh man, I just shot like a maniac. I shot very, very well. I was like training a lot of consistency at that point, and it was just like kind of, for me, everything went well at that match.
Yeah, we'll talk about some of that, some of like the mentality and stuff in matches. But yeah, other than that, you've written over a dozen books on shooting in general, practical shooting, skills and drills, dry fire, all the fun stuff.
Well, it's stuff for training, so it's for nerds. It's not like you pick it up and read it and you're like, oh, this is fascinating. It's technical manuals for training.
But it allows you to get better. So
sure, yeah, that's the goal.
And then you have a YouTube channel, which is awesome.
I leave all of this stuff vague, by the way. So this is good that you're clarifying it now, because I don't tell people any of this.
Yeah. Well, dude, that's why I'm excited to have you here, is because like going back to that, what we talked about before, like I found you via your YouTube channel, which is awesome. Yes. And it's just you talking into the camera, talking about guns you're shooting, non-biased reviews, which we'll get into. But yeah, I think people will be excited to hear about some of your backstory as well. So yeah, dude, let's get into that, and let's start kind of at the beginning and then work our way into like how you got into shooting. But so where'd you grow up? Let's start there.
I grew up in Wisconsin. So you can detect when I say the word Wisconsin, you can detect that I live there. So I was like, I still live there now. So, I mean, I would say it's a fairly conventional childhood. Like I was born in 1984. So I was kind of coming into it in the 90s and graduated high school in 2002, all from that, from that state. And then I've lived there, or at least been based there, you might say now, but I've been based there ever since. So like, I mean, I was born on a family farm, which I'm not old enough to remember, but my family was dairy farming at that time, which then, I mean, all the family farming has collapsed now. So now it's all corporate farms. So the family moved to a city and was like doing other things. But it's like, yeah, I mean, that was kind of what I grew up in for sure.
So your parents were both doing that, the family farm thing?
No, well, yes, they owned a farm, but that wasn't really what they did. They worked at the Social Security Administration. Yeah, so my dad ran offices for the Social Security Administration. My mother worked as a claims representative for her whole career. And so it's like I don't really understand it, because from my dad's generation, or his thinking was always that he would live on a farm. So he like had a farm and had farm hands that worked on it, but it was like, it got to the point where it's like, this does not make sense to have a farm anymore. So he got rid of it.
It's a shit ton of work, man.
It's crazy. Yes.
On top of a full-time job.
Yeah. I'm not saying it makes a lot of sense.
Well, do you like, is that where you got your work ethic, you think?
From my dad, probably. Like there's like certain stuff that to me is like, well, it's not a question. It's like, oh, I said I'll be there, I show up. Or it's like, I'm going to do this thing. It's like, it doesn't matter what time it is or like what I feel like, I'm going to go show up. Like probably that came from my dad. I would think so. Because like, it was never a question when I was a kid. It's like, I would always show up and always do the stuff that I was supposed to do. At least nominally. Yeah. It was kind of a troublemaker, of course.
Of course.
It was a troublemaker, but I still showed up.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with a little bit of that. You get it out of your system early on.
I think I did for the most part.
Well, yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
Now you just channel it in other ways, I
do.
suppose.
Yeah. I still have fun.
So did you get into shooting when you were a kid?
I wanted to. So my parents, very anti-gun. So I wasn't allowed any of that stuff. I don't even really know why. I couldn't articulate why, but I know like always from a very young age, I was fascinated with the ability to shoot. Like, and not like shooting at people. I was just interested in like, oh man, that'd be cool. Like if I could shoot really well. Like one very formative scene for me, Lethal Weapon. You watch Mel Gibson, obviously the hair stuck, you know?
Yes.
You're watching this and it's like, that's awesome. He's got this Beretta. He comes up there and he's like shooting a happy face and all this crazy shit. This is awesome. Like I was like that, like, I don't know much else, but like that looks cool. That's the type I want to be involved in something like that. Now, of course, watching that as an adult, it's different. I'm watching this like dude like shoot and like blink all the time and shoot. And it's like, oh man. But then, yeah, when I was a kid, I saw that stuff and I was like, that's awesome. So I think my first experience like really trying to get into shooting was ordering airsoft guns. Now, this was from the days when airsoft guns were not commonly available in the US. Like you could not buy them at a retailer. I had to import them from Hong Kong. So I did that with my paper route money when I was 15. Like I wired money to Hong Kong for airsoft guns so I could start practicing. Yeah. And then, again, this was before. I felt a little angry and gypped when airsoft guns became more mainstream in the US, where they have become mainstream and then I think maybe even gone away a little bit, but it became a thing after that. But in those days, I was, you're buying high quality Japanese replicas, which, should work for my purposes. And that's what I wanted. They didn't have like the really crappy ones that were sold in sporting goods stores in the US. That wasn't what I was getting. Yeah. So I got those. And I remember I started my training with my airsoft Glocks.
Did that I'm just thinking about, obviously I grew up on airsoft guns and like they're awesome for kids and they enjoy them. But like, as far as actually training, do you think that helps you? Because I don't
know how much it helped me. I don't think it really did. But in my head, I'm like, oh, I was serious with it. I wasn't just like shooting at my friends in the backyard, which I did do that a little, but no, I set up a target range in the basement. I was like really, like I was like pretty diligent about like trying to be really good with that thing.
So was it at the time, were you setting up like stages or was it just like precision shooting?
I had no concept of stages. Okay. I had no concept.
Explain to people what that is in a match, like a stage.
Sure. So in a match, it's formatted in stages. So think of that like holes for a golf course. It's a good way. It could be, you could be whacking the ball. It could, the tee could be 400 yards from the hole, could be 200 yards, could be 150 yards. There could be different obstacles, like sand traps, trees, whatever. And it's however the course lays out, you just kind of deal with it. Stages work the same way in a match. Like a pistol match consists of a series of stages, so like at a normal club on the weekend, if you shoot a club match, it'll be like 6 stages is a pretty common number. Okay, well, you go and you shoot each stage in sequence, and then you take an aggregate of those scores, and that's your score for the match. But each stage, you can think of it as a little self-contained thing that could be whatever the designers come up with.
So is it typically like varying levels of difficulty on the individual stages?
Well, that's the goal. And you wouldn't even really say a varying difficulty. A like more precise way would be like it tests different things, right? So there'd be one stage that for you, maybe you're like, oh, this one looks really hard, but other people look at it, wow, that, I'm really comfortable with the skills that's testing, or, I like that one. Or It just depends on you and your skill set. For training, you want to be able to deal with any challenge that can come up. It could be shooting at distance, shooting close and fast, shooting while moving. It could be shooting one-handed, dealing with props, obstacles. It could be anything they come up with.
So what would you say that you're like, do you gravitate towards something? Do you have like a sweet spot in terms of, like you said, that's an example, up close shooting fast or a little more precision at distance? Like what came naturally to you, if anything?
So in terms of my temperament, I'm very slow and deliberate. Like as far as shooting temperament. Now I've conquered a lot of this with time and training, but I would say I was a turtle. Like to begin with, I didn't miss, but I would not be the fastest guy. Right? I would win through consistency, not really outright speed.
So what would be more important in the type of matches that you would compete in today? Would it be like, is there an element of like you slow down to get your hits sort of thing? Like is one more important?
At the high end, you need both. It's not a negotiation. You have to be fast and you have to be accurate. You have to do both. Skill levels and equipment have gotten to a point where, if you can't do it, someone else can. And if you start shooting more slowly, eventually your hits become irrelevant because you can't win anyway. It doesn't matter.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're training with airsoft guns when you're 15. How long did that go on before you actually bought your first?
So I was allowed to have a gun when my parents invited me to never live with them again, which I thought that was pretty reasonable.
Fair trade-off.
Under the circumstances, like, that's cool. And that kind of freed me up. So now I can go get my Beretta. All right. So I got that thing. And I remember setting out, you've seen the B8 targets from Lethal Weapon. Well, there's so many other movies and things. Like I set out that silhouette and I just knew, I'm like, this is going to be awesome. Lined up on it. When I was like walking down, looked at the target, I was so confused. I'm like, how am I so shit at this? Where there's like not even touching the target. Most of my rounds did not hit the target. Standing there slow fire, I was like, great. I suck. So that was the opener for me. I was like, well, I want to get better at this. I do. I think I actually bought a book off Amazon. I remember as How to Be a Master Handgunner, I think was the name of it. And it was just described pulling it like, oh, if I just pull the trigger and I don't move anything, the bullet will go straight. It was basically what I took away from that. So I began training at that. And that just kind of set me on a path.
How old are you at this point?
20.
Okay. So now people can go on YouTube. Shooting's been very commercialized. You can take classes from people like you, but then what was it? Was it books? Like what was the main source of learning?
Okay, so this was back in the days when there was some forums, there wasn't much video content, of course, it was almost nothing. I learned about action shooting as a sport when I saw stuff on the internet. Like I saw footage of an IDPA match and I was like, oh man, that looks awesome. That's what I want to do. There wasn't much of that stuff. I think this was the days when people took magazines like American Handgunner. People would like take that seriously. Or all the former like big names in the industry. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how all these, like, with how much things have shifted socially in the country in the last 25 years, right? Like with people not paying attention to certain experts anymore and like other different people, like people, now they're paying attention to this. Looking back on it now, it was a big shift. It was like dorks who wrote magazine articles for magazines that were basically gun advertisements, right? That's how I'd look at it now. Some books, but it's like not much from the people that I would want the books from, like really top level competitors. There wasn't much. There was some, but not much. And then as far as video, there was basically nothing. So it was a lot different picture. There was some people traveling around training, but not in my area, and I wouldn't have been able to afford it anyway. That was sort of irrelevant. No, it was going to end up being self-help for me.
So what was do you remember your first match?
I do. So I didn't go, it would be unfair to say I went into it cold. So I'd already had I did all the stuff I could do ahead of time. Like I got a timer and all my equipment set up and I made sure it was legal and I learned the commands and the rules for what all I was going to do. I'd been practicing, like with the timer and trying to understand the scoring system, how all that works. And then I went and shot an IDPA match. It was a classifier match that I shot. It was the first match I shot. And it was just to like kind of get my feet wet. I brought a few friends, which, as you can imagine, like those people kind of fall off after a while because, I'm going to be going hard on this. Like, that's not for everybody. But yeah, I remember that. It was March 20th of 2005.
Wow. You remember the date, huh?
I do. Yeah.
How'd you do?
I got my MasterCard, which is what I wanted. I think I had the high score in the match too, but it was, yeah. I mean, they didn't have Distinguished Master at that time, or I'd have been shooting for that.
So what are those like titles or denominations for people that?
Right. So these sports have these ranking systems, and I'll admit they're a little fruity. But it's kind of a weird thing. Well, they have a skill classification that you carry. And then when your name is listed at a match, the skill classification is over there next to your name. Now, it doesn't really affect anything. Not really. But if you go to a big match, then you'll be awarded inside of your class. So it'd be like, oh, you're in B class? Well, you're the first place B class guy, so you won your class. That's how it functions for awards. And then the other part of it, probably the more important part, is that it sits next to your name in the results, and like that's your skill classification. So that is meaningful on some level. That's how people look at it. And then there's shooting tests, like classify, like a stage will be a part of it, or it'll be its own thing. It'll be its own test. It depends on the discipline that you're shooting, how the mechanics function. But there's a process by which you get that skill classification. The highest skill classification in the big discipline is Grandmaster, right? And then like the little kind of idiot sister discipline is IDPA. They have Distinguished Master now.
So is it like, I know like, for example, with jujitsu, like it's kind of, it can be kind of subjective. Like you can go to one school and you might get your black belt at that school from that instructor. And if you go to another school, they'll be like, bro, you're at the skill level of a purple belt. So is it similar with that, or?
It's not meant to be subjective like that, but you'll see some of those same patterns where you're like, there's a lot of these grandmasters over at this range, and these guys over here are not. Something's up. I mean, yes, you will see that where something's up, but it's not a subjective thing that's meant to be handed to you. But there's sometimes you're looking at it like, I think that's maybe going on, or there's some kind of shenanigans happening.
So how long did it take you to get Grandmaster?
It was my first match.
Oh,
so it was my first USPSA match.
So how long after your first match was that one?
It was 4 months, maybe 5 months. So this was a long time ago. So this was back in the days when I wanted to shoot a stock gun, like a production gun, which to me was like my Beretta. It was of course iron sights, but just shoot a normal Beretta. And for that, like that's what pushed me into the defensive pistol organization initially. That was fine. I liked that just fine. But there's the bigger organization is USPSA that, a lot of people have heard of that one. You got to go do USPSA matches. So I did IDPA up through the state championships that year. And then I started shooting at USPSA. And they had a production division, which was new-ish at that time. It'd only been around for a couple of years. And that was what I wanted to do. Like, but for that, I wouldn't have shot USPSA at all. I just wouldn't be interested because I've always liked the more stock guns, or like especially competing with those guns. I really enjoy that. So they had that division, so I went and shot that. And yes, I made Grandmaster my first time. Which was I went and shot a classifier match, and it was like, oh, you made GM.
Damn, that seems pretty, I don't know if fast is the right word, but.
Well, I mean, again, I was training like behind all this. It wasn't like I just walked up there, I don't know what's going on, and shot. It would be like, I'd show up and be like, well, I don't know this guy. And then I would say like, I don't really know what's going on. And then I would shoot, and then it would be different.
But so like, would you say that, is it all training, or is like, I guess what I'm getting at is there certain things that you can be like a natural at, or like that maybe you got to that faster because it came more naturally to you?
Yeah. So understanding what is being asked of you is one thing. Like I'm good at that. Like when I look at the stage or the challenge or the qualification after whatever it is, I'm good at understanding what it asks me to do, and I'm good at executing under pressure. Like that, I'm like those things I'm good at, like kind of naturally in a way that it's tough. It's tough to teach that to people.
Well, that's another thing I wanted to ask you is just like the kind of mental game of a match. Like you obviously you train and prepare for so long, and then you're there, and there's probably a lot of people that stresses them out. And like, you know, right before when they step up to the line, you people probably handle that differently. So you're saying like you were predisposed to handle that sort of stress well?
Yes. No, I'm definitely good at that. Like I don't. It's not that I'm unbothered. It's that like I can make it happen under pressure, and it's mostly mental at the high levels of the game. And like from what I've experienced and what I've witnessed, it's mostly a mental thing. The guys with the highest technical skill, it's not really about that. It's about being able to execute what you know how to do under pressure, manage yourself during a match, manage your emotions. Like it's more of that than technical skill.
Well, so where do you think that came from in you? Like when did you first start to notice that in yourself?
I mean, just through shooting, I guess. I guess I didn't really understand what was going on until I'd seen other guys that were my contemporaries and shot with them and shot against them. Then I understood stuff better. This is going to sound like maybe arrogant or mean, but it's not. So for someone like me, it's like if you're 21 years old and you want to shoot competitively, and it's like, and that's your whole. Psychologically, that's your whole thing. Like anything else you're doing, you don't really care about it. It's just to get to shooting and get to training because that's what you want to do. You don't meet many people like that are in the same place. And most people that I encounter at a match or at the range, like they're not wired this way at all. Like they don't, like, you know what I mean? Like they don't care. Like they're showing up, they'll shoot the match. Like their participation is the goal, or maybe maybe 10% of the guys at a club are actively practicing and trying to get better. You know, you've got another 10% that runs everything. Like it's just like you see these few personalities, they set everything up and they run this whole deal. You've got a very few people over here that actually practice. And most people are just part of the landscape. Like they're just, kind of hanging out. So it's like I recognize right away, it's like I do not have a lot in common with those people. Like we talk and everything. But it's like, I'm a maniac about this. Like, this is just what I want to do. And most people aren't like that. But then when I go and I start going to bigger matches and getting exposed to guys that are really trying to compete at a high level, then I understood the psychology of it better, if that makes sense.
It definitely makes sense. But so was there a time that you got to that, call it bigger stage, or like, I don't know, like people make this comparison all the time. Like if you're the best player in your high school, then you might be, I don't know, like not so great in college. And then if you make it to the NFL, you're like the worst, right?
Yes.
Was there, like when you got to a big stage like that, did you have a moment like that?
Yeah. I mean, it was basically like you go from an environment where it's like, no one can do what I'm doing, which was true. Like in one environment, nobody can do what I'm doing. Then you go to another environment and it's like, there's full of people. Like you go to the Nationals, it's full of guys that are really good. It's like no one gives a shit about you. And like you don't matter. And you're watching people, shoot all these different stages and do all this stuff. And you're like, I don't even really stand out.
So what about then, like, obviously you said you're all in on this. Like it's all you do every day. It's all you think about. You're obsessed with it. It's your thing.
Yeah, it's my thing I want to do.
Right. So how has people like that get to really like the pointy end like that, I feel like you have to live out of balance to a degree. Would you agree with that?
1,000%. No, I mean, none of this was balanced. Like this wasn't like recommended to do any of this stuff. It'd be, oh, what am I doing? I was like, yeah, I'm going to dry fire for 4 hours a night. Like that's what I'm going to do, or whatever. I mean, if you walked into, and I lived like a college kid for a long time. In a lot of respects, I still do. But if you walk into my living situation, you'd like kind of look around. Like if I bring a girl there, she'd look around like, what? This guy's a psycho. He's a psycho. He's got, like all these targets all over the wall here. There's just guns laying on this table. There's like ammo. Like, I don't even know what that is. Like, To me, I was like, well, I'm just I'm just doing this every day. Like all I'm doing is like trying to get better, working on something or training. Yeah. And it would just be different.
With everything going on in the world these days, it's easy to focus on things that are completely outside of our control. It's something that I'm trying to work on myself and instead replace what I can't control with what I can control, which is my own health and self-improvement. So for me, my health is my baseline, right? You have one life. If you don't have your health, then literally nothing else matters. And for me, this starts with daily exercise and what I choose to put in my body every day. So that's why me and over 60,000 people this year decided to make one simple change. Start taking creatine. So there's a lot of misconceptions out there about what creatine actually is. It's not some steroid or something like that. You already consume a little bit of it from foods like meat and fish, and it helps your body create more of its own natural energy. And it's the same energy that your muscles and brain run on every day. Taking 5 grams of creatine per day will make you feel stronger, more focused, you'll recover faster, you'll have more energy, and build more muscle overall. The only problem with creatine powder traditionally is it's gritty like sand, it doesn't really taste good, and it becomes a hassle to remember to take every day. So Tasty Gains has solved that problem with their creatine gummies. These are the pineapple mango, which are great. My 2 favorite flavors are the blue raspberry and the strawberry creamsicle. These taste like candy. They're also non-GMO, vegan-friendly, and made in an FDA-registered facility. So Tasty Gains holiday sale is now live, and this is the craziest sale that they've ever done. You can lock in a lifetime deal where any amount of creatine you buy, you'll get the same amount for free. There's no limit. And you'll have the choice to get your creatine shipped every month or every 3 months as well. So I'd never recommend a supplement that I didn't believe in, but if you go to tastygains.com/Dalton, you can try it absolutely risk-free, no strings attached. If you own a handgun, your storage likely fits into one of 2 frustrating categories. It's either locked away, safe, but out of reach in an emergency, or it's out in the open and vulnerable and unsecured and available to everyone. So Stopbox USA saw that problem, and they designed a solution, the Stopbox Pro. With the Stopbox Pro, you'll never have to choose between security and readiness again. Its push-button locking system gives you fast, reliable access when every second matters, without the hassle of keys or reliance on batteries. It's 100% keyless and mechanical, so it works every time, no batteries or power needed. And with the holidays coming up, there's never been a better time to upgrade your home security or give the gift of peace of mind to someone that you care about. So whether it's for your own nightstand or a loved one who takes safety seriously, the Stopbox Pro delivers the perfect balance of protection and preparedness. So for a limited time only, our listeners are getting an awesome holiday deal. Not only do you get 10% off if you use code Dalton10 at StopboxUSA.com, but they're also going to give you a buy one, get one free on their Stopbox Pro. That's 10% off and a free Stopbox Pro when you go to StopboxUSA.com and use code Dalton10 at checkout. What was your first big win? Was it that USPSA one?
I would say so. Like that was kind of what puts you on the map. Like winning a USPSA Nationals, like that was 2011. So that was a long time for me to work at that. So I mean, I was like chasing that for like 6 years, which at this point doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're in the middle of it, it's like it's a long time where I'm just like very devoted to that. And then behind that for the next 10 years, really, or 10 years, like behind that is like all I'm doing is just training myself and competing and training other people. Yeah.
So were you at this point, were you working like a normal job? Had you started training yet? What was your life like?
I was training other people from a very early age. As soon as I was like done with college, I was just like, well, we're doing this over here. I mean, yeah, I worked some other jobs, but it was like nothing that I like. It was like, it's not the same. It was like not the same as training. Training was where I was going to end up. And I kind of knew that from a young age. I mean, I was talking about that from age 21. I remember I was like, oh, I'm going to end up doing training. And it will not even be because I like necessarily want to. It was like, that's just going to be where I slot in. So there's different personalities that are good at, they're wired for different things. Nobody really makes money as a pro shooter. I mean, that's just the way it is. So some guys build guns or sell gear or go work a marketing job at some related company. But I always knew for me, it was going to be training. Like, I'd be like, oh, I like doing this and I can talk to people. And, like I just knew that was going to be it.
Do you think, have you found that that's a different skill set that's not always transferable? Like if you're a really good shooter, it doesn't necessarily make you a really good trainer.
No, most really good shooters are not very good at communicating that stuff. I mean, but think about people that are really good at anything. It's an entirely different skill to translate it. And then there's other guys like, I mean, I work with a couple guys where it's like their shooting is good. It's not, it's not world class, but it's very, very good, but they're great instructors, right? It's, they are different skill sets. Because like you said, I think to be really high level, you're going to be out of balance. Like there's no way that it's not going to be out of balance.
So do you still feel the same way about the game today as you did back then?
Where I'm just like all up in it, like, and I'm just like all about it. No, not really. Like I'm soured at the national organization. Like, I think they kicked me out for a while.
Yeah.
I was very, very critical of the national leadership, and starting in 2021, I was critical the whole time. I like really ramped it up to force things to change. And they ended up kicking me out. And then we got a new board where people voted in a new board, and the new board reinstated me. That part was good for me. But at the same time, it's like we saw some changes with the sport, but not a bunch. So it feels dirty to me to prop these people up at this point, if that makes sense. Like, I just don't like, it's like, well, I don't support what they're doing. They're doing what they want for their own reasons or their own motivations. It's not really like a great sport they're trying to build.
So explain to people what happened with that USPSA ban. Because I don't know if people know the story from you.
No, most people probably don't. Like, so I took a look at, I've never explained this to anyone. I just did it. I didn't explain it. But I like looking at the national organization, especially for me. So this was like, I'm not going to go to their national matches. Like it's not a productive use of my time at this point. Training for it, like marking off the time on my calendar. Like I have a lot of other things I can be doing that are way better for me. And at the same time, I don't like what they're doing. Like it's kind of embarrassing the way they run things. So I wanted things to change. So a few of my friends, like one of them ran for office to be president. Like, I got very vocal online, again, trying to shift people's opinions. And I was doing this in a very antagonistic way, mostly saying like the people running that national organization, hey, these guys care about money. They don't care about, the sport. Like they don't have the same views and motivations, and be like, oh, well, I got pretty personal at some point with some of them where I was like, oh no, this guy over here, like this is what this guy gets up to. Yes, I did all of these things. And it came to a head when the guy running for president, they'd successfully blackmailed him or whatever. So he wasn't going to run anymore. And then they needed me to stop talking. And I was like, well, that's not going to happen. So they ended up removing me from the sport, which brought a lot of attention to the issue for me. So it's like that became a springboard to make a lot of things happen. And then, over the course of a couple years, a new board came in and then kind of changed some things and then reinstated me. So it ended up being a big drama thing not for no reason. It wasn't just for fun, but, was trying to change things for the organization.
The guy that ran for president, it was of USPSA, not the United States.
Of USPSA.
Okay, yeah. So would you say like, was it mainly did a lot of people that you compete with or against, like, did they share the same sentiments?
No.
Okay,
they don't care at all. They don't look at it the way I look at it. Like most guys, like shooting at a very high level, winning matches, they don't want to touch this stuff. Because, in their situation, they don't want to rock a boat that is good for them, right? They just don't. And it's controversial. You're going to have people, like, might have to explain it to different companies or different sponsors. It's not a popular thing to do. And then you're irritating match officials as well, where you're going to be going and competing, and those guys may not like it. So those guys not popular with. Now, well, if you're in jiu-jitsu, you'll understand this. The highest level of amateur guy, right? They liked it. If that makes sense to you, right? So this isn't their income, but it's their whole thing is like as a hobby. Like those dudes are looking at how the organization's run. Like, well, this is like, there's a bunch of problems here, right? But it's like, there's no downside for them to say anything. Not really. So though that cohort of people liked it. But as far as the professionals, like I'm not well liked among professional shooters for sure.
Yeah. Well, that makes total sense to me. Like people that just don't want to bite the hand that feeds them, so to speak.
Right.
But,
yeah.
So what were your actual like gripes with the way that they were running things?
Yeah. So one of the big issues was they haven't done anything to police the sport as far as like rampant cheating. So when I said earlier in the warm up, like, oh, we look over at this range, they got a lot of grandmasters going on. Over at this range, there's not that. What's going on here? Those sorts of situations, no interest usually in doing anything. So there's been a few like really high profile cheating scandals where you're just like, what are you guys doing? Like, get rid of this guy. The bigger stuff was like they're running the organization for money, like for themselves, for like giveaways to their buddies. Like, so that was what the concern is as far as making changes that shooters liked. Like, for example, the classification system I talked about, where like that's a really complicated system. They've now started to reform it, make it better, and and make that work better for shooters as far as give them what they want. Whereas normally, like the old crew did not care about that stuff. Like they just viewed that as like trying to stop people from complaining if you were addressing issues like that. But most of it, I mean, to tell you the truth, it was a cabal of people that did whatever they wanted and lied about it in public, and would just like they're doing it for their own motivations and objectives, and they're not giving people the real story in public. And that I was like, I hate these people. Like, I want to do something about this.
So what was one of the big cheating scandals? Was it like relating to that classification thing, or was it something else?
Yeah, sure. If you've heard the name Tony Cowden.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was the USPSA cheating scandal. That was the biggest one. But again, from the organization, they didn't do anything about it. They just didn't.
Is it one of those things where it's like, I don't know, Tom Brady deflates footballs and they're like, Tom Brady's good for the sport, let's just leave it alone?
No, I think they were just afraid to touch it. And who knows what kind of threats. I'm sure. I think he had conversations with them too. These are the type of guys, if you threaten to sue them, they immediately back down. So it's just like, well, there you go. So like that sort of stuff, and you're just like, oh, like these guys suck. But at the same time, they had no problem kicking me out for saying what I thought of them. And so people see that dichotomy and they don't like it.
Well, there's a lot of people that do like it, myself included, and not for the drama, dude. I was telling you this off camera, and we'll talk about some of your YouTube stuff that you do, but like, and I told you this in the car. For example, if I want to spend $5,000 on a 2011, am I going to go watch a review from somebody that's sponsored by Staccato, or somebody that might be seen as abrasive and without a filter, and that's going to tell me what they really think because they have no fucking vested interest in it?
Yes.
That's what I'm going to do. And I think there's not enough of that. There's, the word shill is thrown a lot these days. I don't want to knock people for being sponsored by certain brands, but then you have you, who is like,
I'm not
the hero we deserve, but the hero we need,
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm fortunate. Like things have gone well for me in some ways where it's like, I can buy that Staccato and shoot it and I don't care what happens. Like, it's not a big deal one way or the other.
Exactly. Yeah. And we love that. So I guess as far as a competition, what was the big one? With the big win, was it the IPSC win?
The World Championship is a big one. Yeah.
Tell people about that one.
Oh, so that was 2017 in France. So that was, to me, that was the year that everything had to come together because World Shoots are on a year cycle. Like the next World Shoot after 2017 didn't happen until 2022.
Oh, wow.
Right. So it's on a timeline. Like you have to be in there at the right time. And to me, like this is your time. You had to get in there and win that shit if you're going to do it. I was on Tanfolio's team at the time, which is a CZ75 clone. If you're curious, like similar to CZ now. So like had a good team, had good equipment, like did all of the training, all that. Like I was at the right spot in my life to win that. The downside, so I don't talk about this a lot either, but I got diagnosed with cancer in 2017 as well. So it's like, well, this might be a problem. Yeah. So then I got a tumor cut out of me, and then like I got myself back together, and then went on to then I went to that match. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Well, it's I don't talk about it. I mean, there was a lot of nasty stuff. I mean, I got a divorce too. So I like flew back from World Shoot. I had all my stuff ready to go. I had a condo all set up, and then I just moved my stuff, and then I flew to nationals, and it was just like, I'm just like not talking about this with anyone. Yeah, it was like, there was a lot going on that year.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Okay. So what was the timeline of all, first of all, what kind of cancer was it?
It was testicular cancer.
No
All my
shit.
shit still works too. It's
Wow. Fuck yeah, it does.
What was the timeline? Well, that was early in the year. So that was, I don't know, January, February. Then it was like,
That you got the procedure.
no, that I got it. Like, then the doctor sat down and was like, yeah, so this is what's going on. And I was like, and then it was like one of those things where he doesn't want to tell me anything. He's like, well, we're just going to run this test. I'm like, dude, I'm cool. You can just, so he made a flow chart for me, actually, like right there, which I appreciate. It was like, we're going to cut this tumor out. We're going to biopsy it. It'll be this, or it'll be this. These are the treatment options up here. This is what'll happen down here. You definitely want to be up here. You don't want to be down here. And it just explained the whole, like how it's going to go. And I was like, okay, that's what we're doing.
Okay, so you're cancer-free now.
I am. Yeah.
Congratulations. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
Okay, so you get diagnosed in January. You get the procedure when?
It was like, they called me and like, we want you to come in for surgery tomorrow.
What stage was it?
I don't know. It wasn't like I wasn't like getting my hair, like losing my hair to chemo or anything. It wasn't like that, but I don't know what stage. It was not going to kill me if they cut it out right then, is what we know now. Right. So it's like well understood type of cancer. It was like, this should be okay. Then the biopsy checked and it was like, okay, this is the good kind. And it was like, do you want to do the radiation on your pelvis? And I was like, no, thank you. I don't want to do that. We'll just wait on that. Then there's a surveillance procedure where I think it was 4 scans and blood tests for a year for the first 2 years, something like that. Then went to 2 and then 1 for the last year. But it's like a 5-year thing to make sure that you're free of that stuff.
So then at what point in the year was the match?
July, I think. So I mean, I had time. Like I was okay.
Were you feeling any like remnants of?
Yeah, I mean, like I'm not going to show you, but there's like the incision here is like through like the incision through the muscle here is like gnarlier than you might think. Right. So it's like, I wasn't walking around for a while normally. And then I was like back into training, and then I was like, yeah, I'm feeling good. I mean, yeah, my life was like 2017 was an interesting year for me because there was so much going on. And then it was like, well, by like March or April, it's like, I need to get a divorce. So I was like, I'm going to time this out. So we'll go and do this and then do this thing over here, then go get a divorce. I was like, fuck me.
Good God, man. When it rains, it pours, huh?
It's okay.
So
like I said, I'm good with pressure.
Well, that's what I was going to get at. But so how did that cut into your training then? Like how much of a hit was it or a setback?
I mean, it's not so much that I couldn't train. I was still going to train, but it was just, you're just like, man, I just don't know. Like, you know what I mean? To kind of put things in perspective for me. It's like, you have to make shit happen this year.
And then, so did you find out about the divorce? Well, not find out. Did you know prior, or was that after the competition?
Oh no, I knew it was going down before I went to France. I knew that was going down. Like I was driving the bus on that. So I was like, I was just like, I need to like make this, I need to like schedule this so that this will work for my life.
That was as good a time as any, huh?
Yeah, no, I'm happily divorced, believe it or not.
Hey, listen, there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes two people are just not.
Yeah, it's not, it didn't work out, whatever.
So Okay, because dude, like compartmentalization, everybody can relate to that. Like this is obviously a much smaller scale than what you're talking about, but it just made me think. Like last podcast I did, I got a pretty scary text, like literally right before, and I'm pretty serious about this. Like I try to like really zone in, make the most of like your time here, and make it the best possible I can for the audience. So for me, like I was like, okay, like I will deal with this in 4 hours. Like, and so I think that everybody can relate to that. So how if you were to say, like, obviously some of that comes naturally to you, but how, if you were to try to explain that to people, might they get better at doing such a thing?
I think, I don't know how you explain this, but it's about accepting what you already know is true. Like, in 4 hours, like you can deal with that other thing. You can sit here and think about it the whole time, but you know that you can deal with it in 4 hours. Like, it's kind of the same thing. It was just like, well, I've got this issue going on. It's like, well, okay, I understand. This is how this issue works. Like, okay, this is how divorce works. Like, cool. Like, get a lawyer. Like, get all this stuff set in place. Get this other living thing set up. Like, the papers will drop on this day. You're like, yep, okay, that's all set. It's like, now I'm not even going to worry about that. I'm going to focus on training or focus on shooting. Or I'm going to, go to the match and just like, I'm just going to ignore whatever I'm getting from the other end. Like, I don't give a shit. It's like, I'm going to lock in on this thing I've got to do. I think most of people worrying or not being able to compartmentalize stuff is just being worried about what other people are going to think or say. Right? It's not so much worried about the actual thing. You can do, what you can do.
I think, yeah, I mean, still, like when you talk about it that way, it does sound kind of binary, like deal with it in a couple hours, deal with it when you get back, like do just for this amount of time.
But you're sitting there thinking about it.
It's different. It's easier said than done. Like people spiral sometimes.
Yes. And like people are their own worst enemies. Right. And like they start wanting to spiral, or there's some stuff where it'll be like the divorce thing. I'll be like, well, this is going to be really bad. Like in some aspects socially, but it's like, guess what? I'm not going to lose anything that I'm not going to be happy to lose. You know what I mean? Like if you've had a breakup where it's like, oh, she's afraid, like you lose these friends and like these friends go, like that kind of thing. I'm very comfortable with that. So that's always fine with me.
Yeah, but then there's like the secondary and tertiary and like the kind of dark stuff when you can get in your own head and your brain is working against you, dude. Like, do you not really have those moments where your brain comes in and says, Ben, like, let's think about this, let's spiral about this? Do you just not have those, or do you just know how to snap out of it?
No, I mean, I'll have them. Then it's like, stop, you're being irrational. Like, that's where you think, like, what is the probability of that? And it's just like, it's very low. So it's like, let's not sit here and worry about stuff, because you're going to create the stuff you worry about,
What if the probability is high, though?
Well, then you just like, all right, then I will assume it's happening. I will assume the word. I mean, if it's like a high probability negative outcome, I'll just assume a negative outcome, and act accordingly. It'll be like, well, like that's going to go sideways. And I'll be like, cool, I'm already making a backup plan, and I'll just like let it play out.
Make your peace with it, kind of.
Yeah, I'm just like, cool, damage is done.
Yeah. Nothing
I can do.
Okay, so the match, like how did you shoot? Like how would you rank it on your performances?
It was pretty mid. It was pretty mid as far as the win. It was a very close win. Like I like to leave hats on the ground, just by a hair, but I mean it was good enough. So yeah, it was fine for me. It was like world champion. Who gives a fuck?
How'd that feel though?
Winning nationals the first time was very strange. I remember I stayed up all night. It was in Vegas. So I stayed up all night, and I'm not a drinker or gambler or anything at that time. I didn't do any of that stuff. And I just like walked around like I couldn't sleep. I was like, man, what am I going to do? Because I'd been chasing that thing. And then in France, it was not like that. It was just like, yeah, like cool. Like just file that one. Like that's what you thought. Like just file that away. It wasn't this sense where it's like I felt out of place or like, oh, what do I do now? I didn't feel that way.
Yeah, you hear about that a lot. Like people that train for something for so long, and then like you reach the mountaintop and you're looking around, you're like, oh God, and then it's like doom sets in.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't so call it doom. It's mostly like aimlessness. Like, well, what now? Like this is the pinnacle of your life, USPSA national champion. Like it's all downhill from here. I mean, that's kind of what, I mean, I was kind of thinking that. And now, of course, you understand, like, no one's heard of this. No one cares. Like, it's fine. You know, it's like, it's not that big of a deal, man. Like, move on. Yeah.
You're very grounded in a lot of ways. I think people might be surprised to hear some of this stuff because I certainly am.
Really?
Not that I wouldn't expect that about you. Like you're a professional and a high level competitor, so they're obviously like you might have this like, you know, outward online persona, but if you have any critical thinking skills, you'd be like, okay, Ben is obviously has the ability to be very disciplined, is very serious about what he does, and is a smart guy and able to like line these things up accordingly. But
yeah.
I'm just enjoying this, dude. Like going from the YouTube gun reviews to this, I'm enjoying it. I hope people are too. Yeah. So we've all been there. You're eating clean, taking your supplements, doing everything right, but your gut still feels off. Your energy's low, your skin's not glowing, so what's missing? In comes Cowboy Colostrum. Cowboy Colostrum takes a primal, whole-body approach to wellness, natural, clean, and built to work with your body, not against it. Colostrum is often called liquid gold. It's the first nutrition we get at birth. It's packed with immune factors, growth compounds, and nutrients your body still craves today. And especially during seasonal changes, when your body's defenses can feel run down, those immune factors make all the difference. Cowboy Colostrum uses only the highest quality colostrum. Whole, first-day milking, never diluted or overprocessed, and always ethically harvested from grass-fed cows after the calf gets their share. No fillers, no junk, just the good stuff. And here's how easy it is. Just mix it into your coffee, milk, or smoothie. They have vanilla for your morning coffee, their strawberry tastes like a milkshake, and people swear by it for their gut health, hair growth, immunity, and recovery. So for a limited time only, our listeners get 25% off their entire order if you go to cowboycolostrum.com and use code Dalton at checkout. That's 25% off if you use code DALTON at cowboycolostrum.com. And after your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support the show and tell them that we sent you. Most of us are still drinking sink water or buying plastic bottles thinking that they're clean. But the data is brutal. 70 million Americans have forever chemicals in their water, and bottled water contains hundreds of thousands of microplastic particles per liter. And what's crazy is pitcher filters like Brita only remove 23% of arsenic. Cove Pure removes 99.9% of the harmful stuff. That's why I switched to the Cove Pure reverse osmosis system, because I don't want to gamble with what's in my water. Heavy metals, plastics, PFAs, all of it. This machine gives you instant hot or cold water, real-time purity readings, and a 4-stage filtration that catches contaminants down to 0.0001 microns. No installation, no maintenance headaches, just clean water on demand. So if you're looking for a holiday gift that's good for your loved ones and one that they'll actually use, go to covepure.com/Dalton or use the link in the description below. And because we've partnered with them, they're giving you guys a $250 holiday discount. Again, go to covepure.com/DALTON for $250 off a Cove Pure system. Okay, so in that one, did you compete against any like big names or any of those wins, I guess, for that matter?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, of course, like the first win was like Dave Savigny and Rob Latham were there. Like and that was peak of Dave's career, you know, like that kind of stuff. And those guys were in it like that. And shooting against, like, Rob Latham is a guy that I looked up to a lot when I was learning to shoot. I liked his attitude. Yeah, it was just like, I like the way Rob shoots, and I'd like to be able to do that. And it was nice to be able to like be on a squad and compete against him at that time, as well as Dave Savigny back in his Team Glock days. Like that was crazy. I remember watching footage of Dave shoot a few years prior before I was competing actively. And we didn't have much video, right? I had 2 stages of him, as I recall, 2 stages on some website. I don't think YouTube was not in its form yet. And I could just watch him shoot a couple stages. And then I remember my girlfriend walked in and looked. She's like, what the fuck was that? And I was like, oh my God. She's watching him shoot and she's like confused. She's confused at how good it is. And it's like, I got some work to do, buddy. Cause like, I don't confuse her at all when I shoot. So, I mean, like that stuff was that. Yes, that was very formative for me. It was helpful. In France, there was like the big division was production. but as far as people that you'd know, there's probably a few. There's a really strong Russian guy, Pavel Torgachev was there, came second. But I mean, not a lot of people that the larger gun community would really know.
But what did it feel like to start on watching Rob Latham and Dave Savigny? I know you've talked about Dave, like when you watched him, you're like, this guy's a freaking god. I don't even know how he moves like that. Like, what did it feel like to when you beat those guys?
It felt weird. It was like it was a little bit of imposter syndrome, especially because my shooting style is so different. I won that first time like on consistency, right? And then, it's like it was weird because I was thinking like, man, do I really deserve this? And then it was like every time I go anywhere else and people are going to watch me shoot, well, now the pressure is really on. Like if I go to some club match that I don't care about, or I show up to teach somewhere, like people are expecting magic like every time. Right. And then you're just like, oh, okay, well, I'm just a dude, like it's like, I'm just some guy, I can't make magic all the time, but I got over that after a little while, but it puts a lot of expectations on you.
Yeah, I would imagine. And dude, even with something like you teaching classes, I would imagine there's people in your classes that have the same sentiment. They expect you to just like walk out to 50 yards and fucking shoot a fist-sized group at like
whatever. There's nothing I can do that will impress them. Nothing.
Well, I'm impressed, I think, from the videos you put up online. And you put up full class videos on your YouTube.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. Who else is providing value like that?
I don't know. I mean, to me, it's like I don't lose anything doing it. I consider it a good screening mechanism because you can watch the class and be like, oh, I think this guy's a prick. It's like, that's fine. Don't come. And it's better for everyone. And if you watch and you're like, well, I like it, but I'm not, you don't get any feedback. You're not actually shooting. It's like, well, maybe you want to check it out. Like I view it as a positive all the way around.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So let's move into some of that then, like you teaching classes, because you have some fun stories from strange places that you've been and that sort of thing.
Well, I've been a lot of places teaching. I think over 50 countries. And I've learned, I mean, it's been good for me. It's changed me a lot. Like I've learned a lot about the world in a positive way. So that I'm happy about that.
Yeah. So let's start with that one, because another thing that I was kind of surprised by is we were pretty well versed on the geopolitical situation in Iraq and with the Kurds. And that is because of your frequent trips to Iraq.
Sure. Well, there's that. Like I learned about economics a lot in Argentina. Like I would do my winter training, just go to Argentina for a while. And my counterpart there is like national champion of Argentina many times in shooting, and I could stay with him and shoot. And I mean, at that time, starting in 2015 up until COVID, I'm just like watching their currency get fucked in Argentina. Like, and you just like watch over a few years and you're like, oh, this is really interesting to see. It's like my dollars get more pesos and the pesos don't buy very much stuff anymore. And it was like, so like learning a lot about that. And then, we see the same, like a decade on, the same currency issues in the US now, or that kind of thing. Like that stuff has been very helpful for me.
So yeah, tell us about the Iraq trips.
I got an email from a lady, and was some dude with a weird name, son of like this dude's name, son of this other dude, president of this thing that I've never heard. I'm like, okay, sounds kind of weird, but actually all of it tracks. All of it tracks to me. That looks legit. So I made contact with them, and it was like, yeah, we want you to come to Iraq for training to see if you can come. And I'm like, okay, interesting. So fortunately, I have friends and friends in low places, I guess, at different agencies or units where I'm like, oh, I know some people that have worked over here. So like in this case, I talked to Mike Pannone, if you know that name. Yeah. And Pannone's like, this is like, you got this email is like 1,000% you should go. And I'm like, that's good to know, because Mike will be read in on northern Iraq and like what the lay of the land is like there.
Well, he was the Delta operator, right? Mike
Pannone? He was. So it's like so I checked with a few people and I was like, cool, you should, like, I will go to Iraq. And I started going. I've actually pretty good friends now with Bafel Talabani. He's president of the PUK, which means nothing to people here, but in the crazy world of Iraqi politics, like he's an interesting player. and a guy that I think a lot of people would genuinely like if they got to know him. Not like he has the option to roll around in convoys with, you know, a ton of bodyguards and all this stuff, and he doesn't do that. He's pretty chill. He's like a very down to earth guy with a lot of power. So like that's an interesting guy, and one of a few. Like I've had a few wacky training gigs like that over the years.
He can shoot too, from what I've seen.
Yeah, no, I mean he's working at it every day if he can. I mean, it's not for show. Like he's genuinely into shooting. And the crap that you watch on YouTube, that's the crap he watches. Like he's watching the same shit. Like we'll sit in his like reloading room or whatever and watch, you know, some classic firearms video about like ranking some dumb guns, and he's like, oh, this gun, like fucking okay. Like it's the same crap. I mean, like it's a much smaller world than it used to be. We'll put it that way. And he's like, that's just a guy who saw me on YouTube. He's like, well, I think this guy'd be fun.
So all the Iraq trips, they're for him specifically, or have you trained other units? Or
let's say it's for him.
Let's say it is.
Let's say that.
So one might assume that there's been some other.
People will assume many things. Like so, a lot of stuff I'm like non-disclosed I wouldn't talk about, but it's like I would just say it's for him.
So when you work with these types of units, they typically have you sign an NDA?
No. An NDA is atypical. But I would say like that at the higher tiered units, like that is normal. There's a lot of stuff I do that I just don't talk about. Like you wouldn't see it. If I go to a Green Beret thing, like it's like white side, it's not classified or anything. Like I could talk about it, but I typically don't post anything. I did post one plaque from Canada a few weeks ago because they asked me to. They're like, hey, we want people to know you came to Sig Sauer. I'm like, great. Well, I wasn't really happy to post it, but I will post it.
What's Sig Sauer?
Canadian Special Operations Regiment.
Okay.
It was actually a really cool gig, by the way. It was really cool.
What'd you do?
Train the trainers, man. That's one of my favorite things at an agency. It's typically like a law enforcement agency will have me for train the trainers, but that's what it was for them. It was training their firearms cadre. Who is going to train their next batch of candidates. Because, I mean, they're working on a bunch of different things, but it's just like a really interesting gig, really nice crew. I mean, I liked everything about it.
Well, that's smart. It's not like they just bring you in for a class for all the, you know, operators or whatever. It's like they're, you know, being able to pass that on.
Yeah, so, I mean, I would be wasted. So probably the most frequent law enforcement gig I've had is this like type of train the trainer. So if it's a big enough agency, like, I mean, it could be LAPD or like Sacramento County or a bunch, too many to name. So, well, if they have 10, 12 cadre that they train their guys with, that makes sense for me to work with them. And they show them like the, you know, drills, concepts, that kind of thing. And those guys are already into it. That's already their range nerds.
So you mentioned the white side or conventional soft, but I had a guy, Brent Tucker, in here who's a former Delta operator. And he mentioned in their, I don't think it was their OTC. I think it was just they bring the best in to train them, right? And he mentioned that Rob Latham went up to their compound, Jerry Michalik. Have you trained any of the black side units or the tier ones?
I have been to tier 1 units, yeah.
Army? Navy?
See?
Are those NDAs? Would that okay? So if Ben were to go train a tier 1 unit such as the Delta Force or Dev Group, would that require an NDA?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that would not be discussed.
Got it. So obviously you haven't done that, but if you did do that,
if I did do that, sounds cool.
It does sound cool. So what would you be training guys like that on?
Well, for me, I just like, and that's the thing is like, it's just firearms training. So it's like, it's not really different. A lot of people, and this is kind of what you see online and a lot of it in law enforcement circles, where people have like the gun is tied to the scenario where you're going to use it. If that makes sense, right?
What does that mean?
Like it's tied to tactics. It's tied to like you don't just do shooting. We're like, it's this whole, like we're doing tactics, we're doing CQB, we're doing all this different stuff. as far as like effective training for an individual, you don't do that. Like you just work on using the tool really, really well, shooting it in a really aggressive way so you can get the outcome you want on the targets. And then like quite separately, you can take that and apply that to whatever the situation is or the circumstances, right?
That makes sense to me. And I think I've heard Pranka talk about that quite a bit. Like for something like a CQB, right? You want to get shooting, you want to get proficient to the point in shooting where that's totally natural, so that if you're going into a room and making a decision, the last thing you have to worry about is where that round is going to impact.
Yeah, 100%. And then you have guys, I mean, then he's seen the other side of it, and I know this pisses him off a lot because he's seen it so much, but there'll be guys that have all these opinions. We're sitting around arguing about what the correct TTP, tactics, techniques, procedures for all this different stuff. And it's like a waste because like the guys don't have the skill to do any of that. It's all theoretical. It's kind of like the same way I feel when I just read a YouTube comment, a long form YouTube comment from a guy. And I'm just reading through this. I'm like, this guy doesn't practice. He doesn't do any of this shit. And he's just like, why am I going to, like, how much time am I going to spend explaining to you the nuanced differences between a Glock 45 and a Glock 47 when it's totally irrelevant and you don't like it? This just means nothing. It's a waste of time. It'd be like that because like that kind of frustration.
Well, I think that's the great equalizer is training. Like people assume that if they go buy a Staccato, they're going to shoot like a fucking god when they pick a gun up once every 6 months.
A lot of people assume that.
That's not the case, is it?
No, it doesn't really work that way. No, it doesn't work like that. It'd be cool. That'd be some marketing.
So how did you get connected with Matt Pranka, who's another Delta operator, former Delta operator?
Yeah, Matt has been quite influential on me in kind of some subtle ways. So I got an email from a guy who's wanted to come for private training. I was like, cool, we can do that. And then he shows up at the range I tell him to. He brings me a check from the government. I'm like, cool. And like, he likes, like, I didn't ask him. I could assume where he works. I didn't ask him anything. And it's like, I just like, whatever. This guy works some army job, whatever that is. Didn't ask him nothing. And we, you know, it was a good week of us training together and it was very effective for him. And then, a few years later, I went and trained with him and some other guys, you know, more. And it was like, that was also good. And then finally, by the time Matt was getting ready to retire from the Army and move on to his next life, he was telling me, he's like, dude, you got to start shooting rifle, because he thought because he'd taken some of the training concepts that I was pushing, applied them to his rifle. And he's like, this is very good. He's like, you should shoot rifle and see what you can get out of it. And I started doing that in 2019, started training myself, I should say. And in a few years, I was training other units or agencies like with the rifle incorporated in it.
And you guys put courses on together now, right?
We do. So if possible, we'll do it together. He's still really busy professionally, as am I. But if it works out, I like to get with him all the time.
Do you guys have anything coming up together?
I don't believe open enrollment, no.
Just LE agencies, that sort of thing?
Yeah, it's just I think we're going to one unit together in a couple months.
Which one?
Come on, man. You're killing me.
I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with you. And so going back to Iraq for a second, didn't you get to shoot an RPG when you were in Iraq?
Yeah. So you ever seen The Dictator? Or sorry, The Interview? Yeah. It was like hanging out with Boffel, kind of like that. He was just like, hey, do you want to shoot an RPG? I'm like, well, yeah. Can we blow up a car? So then he's like, texting me. Like, yeah, they're going to have a car for you at 3:00 tomorrow. Blow up a car. I'm like, awesome. Yeah. I mean, I didn't video it, but I blew up a car with a Mark 19 as well. Like the full auto 40 mic, just like, dun, 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 dun. That was pretty sweet.
Wow.
Also, yeah, I enjoyed that.
That's a perk of the job, huh?
Yeah. We've done a lot of shenanigans there. We did an aerial hog hunt.
In Iraq?
Yeah. Yeah. It was great. It was fly up in the mountains and helicopters and shoot hogs with some gunnery training or whatever.
During the day or at night?
Yeah.
I'm just wondering.
I mean, it's not illegal there. I suppose it wouldn't really be illegal. Yeah, it was at night as well.
Okay. Well, I just mean, like, were they wearing like nods and stuff, or did you have thermals on the guns?
They have all the stuff. I mean, I don't use any of this shit. Like, I don't know.
I don't know either. I just think it's cool.
Yeah, it is. That's good.
And what about the one in Russia with the Oligarch?
Yeah, so I did go to Russia a lot of times for training, which was good. And it was for their copper oligarch who's big into shooting. So it's like, well, I guess we have we have a less formal oligarch system here, but over there it's more formal. And it was just like, yeah, it was like their copper guys really into shooting. So I'd fly in and do that. And that was very different vibe. So that's like through a translator because he doesn't speak English and I don't speak Russian. And then that's a type of dude who rolls around in a big convoy of vehicles, a lot of bodyguards everywhere for no real purpose, that kind of thing. It was just a dude that rolled heavy like that. So it was a very different vibe.
So what was a day like over there, like teaching
for
him?
Me?
Yeah.
So my driver would come collect me, take me to the range. Everything be ready to go. Dude shows up for training and then is structured so it's all stages. So this like the competition stages I was talking about earlier, it'd be like 6 of them set up in a line, right? And we'd shoot one, maybe once, usually once, shoot the stage once. It'd be very complicated, moving targets, activated things, like a world-class stage, right? As far as complexity and challenge, right? Shoot that, and then we'd walk to the next one, and then shoot that, and walk to the next one, and shoot that. And then the reset crew would come in behind and make new stages. So typically in a morning, in a couple hours, you'd shoot 30 stages.
Wow.
Something like that. Like, and each one of them fresh. It was like very good training this is very good. People would pay to do that.
Yeah.
Like it'd be excellent. Right. So, but I was just for training.
That's awesome.
Yes. Like COVID shut that down. Now I don't think it's cool for me to go to Russia anymore. I'm pretty sure that'd be a problem on my end.
Could be.
Yeah.
So where else have you been that stands out?
As far as training,
Yeah.
where I'm just like, man, like these guys got it. There's some really interesting training in Finland, which I really liked how they do it in caves that used to be World War II bomb shelters. I thought that was really cool.
They do the training in caves?
Yeah, their shooting ranges are in caves a lot. Because like it was a bomb shelter in World War II. Well, I guess you guys can use it for shooting.
So it's just a practicality thing? There's no...
I think they don't. I think the restrictions on outdoor ranges are much greater in Northern Europe. Like painting with a pretty broad brush there, but generally speaking, it's tougher to get an outdoor range permitted. Because they care a lot about the noise, right? I think lead mitigation's another thing.
Huh. What else? Anything stand out?
Oh my God. I don't know. Like I've been to a lot of like shithole countries as well, but I don't know. Like,
Anything sketchy?
Well, the World Championships will be held this year in South Africa. Like South Africa, I thought it was fun. It's probably changed since then. One of the sketchiest cities I've been to is Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. That's where you've got favela over here, and like yes, that city's pretty sketchy, but nowadays I wouldn't say it's a whole lot different than like L.A. Right? Or Seattle. If I'm being honest, like it's. It's not that different. The northern Iraq's like one of the safest places I've been. There's like no crime there, and it's not because they're cutting people's hands off.
So would you, like, for example, if you went to Finland to train like the Finnish SOF or Brazil for their, some agency, do you have to get permission from the American government to go do that?
If it's ITAR regulated, yeah. So I have not trained in Brazil or in Finland in that way, but it would be ITAR covered. My stuff's open source, so that's one advantage I have is that all my training material has been published. So I'm not giving anything away, even under ITAR. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Is there any, like, if you have okay, well, say what you can about this, but like in all those sorts of units, is there any that stand out that were like very impressive shooting wise?
Well, yes and no. There's some units, and I will say this, it can surprise you. This can surprise you, but it's just all about their access to training and ammunition. and in like institutional support. If they have that, the guys are really good. Now, people will talk about there's a big difference between this or that unit, or like, oh, these guys are way better. But from what I've actually seen, there's not really much of a difference as far as individual operators. It's like if they like practice, they're doing their stuff. Like they're all very, very capable people. They're like, type A type of dudes. They could learn to do anything. So if you just give them a chance to learn to do whatever, they tend to be really good at it.
Mm. So they typically tend to be like very fast learners the day of.
Yeah. No, and I would say also for like a civilian open enrollment course, there might be a drill. I have a drill set up and I'll show people the drill, explain the drill. This is what I want you to do. And they'll be like, okay. And half of them won't understand it. Like cognitively will not understand what we're doing or what the point is. And one or two is going to fire the wrong number of bullets while we're doing it. Right. That's just in large groups. Like that's the way it works. In a group like that. So if it's like guys that have a selection process that want their job and all that, I can show them 3 drills simultaneously, brief all 3, and they'll retain it and they'll start training themselves on the drills I just showed them.
Wow.
Right. So it's a pretty big difference.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's, they say a lot, it's kind of big boy rules at those units, and those guys want to be there, they want to train, and they're doing what they're doing on the side, and you don't have to like force them to work. No,
they want to, those guys they're hardworking guys. Like they want to work. It's true.
So what about, is there any like, obviously that makes sense to me. Like if the better access you have to ammunition and facilities, like the better you're going to be, the more you're going to be able to train. Is there any like really cool ranges that you've been to that stand out?
Yes, actually the emergencies, I don't know the name of the facility, but like the Emergency Services Center in Fort Worth, Texas is crazy. It's crazy, man. They only have 1,200 officers. Like I couldn't wrap my head around it, but they've got 1,200 officers. I'm like, this is your facility? Like this is nuts. And there's a fire department section right across the street that's the same size or whatever. It's like, what is going on here? So I think they have, I was in one range that was 60 lanes wide and 50 yards deep. Right? Indoors, air conditioned quite beautifully, even in the Texas heat. And you're like, well, okay, that's pretty cool. But I think they have 4 or 5 ranges like that. They have another, like a city block where it's multi-story with buildings and shit like that. That's indoors, and they can control the climate and the lighting. They can fill it with smoke. They could do all kinds of different things. I mean, it was wild. It was a wild facility, and I think they had it. There was like train tracks running through the center, and I was like, "What the hell's up with these?" It was a camp where Asian people could concentrate during World War II. I think they went there to study. It's my understanding of like how that facility came to be. I was like, "This is crazy."
Holy shit! So, emergency services unit, like that's their
Well, it's like their emergency services center or something, because it was fire and police. It was like 2 things like right next to each other. And it was just the city of Fort Worth owns these gigantic buildings like out like to no purpose really. And it was like, how did these buildings get here? What's this all about? And it's like, well, okay, it all makes sense in the end.
Yeah. Dude, 60 lanes? That is massive, isn't it?
And that was one of a few. And then do you think about it, there's only 1,200 officers or whatever. It's like it's not that big of an organization.
Right.
I mean, I've been to some ranges that are if you go to Quantico and you see what like FBI and DEA has set up there, just the number of firing state points they could fire. Like, I don't know how many, like hundreds of dudes simultaneously shooting they could do. Like it's like, there's some really big firearms training centers.
I bet. Yeah. So I want to get into some of the fun stuff.
Sure.
That you cover on your YouTube channel. But just lastly, like, so if people want to go take courses, somebody like you who's been in the industry for 20 years, you can look at somebody who claims to be a subject matter expert or is putting on courses, and you can say there's something weird about them, or like this person is a grifter. But somebody who might not be as seasoned as you, like if they want to go take a course, how can they tell who's the real deal and who's grifting?
Well, that's a good question. So you want to have people who talk about stuff like very specifically like what they do in the course, and you don't like typically I'd stay away from stuff that's really fluffy. Like what you need it may not be what I'm selling. Like I don't do intro courses, right? That kind of thing. But I would just find someone that's like, yes, this is down to earth. This doesn't seem very fluffy, and the background or whatever that they're selling makes sense given what it is I want to take. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like one common, I guess it's a trope at this point, but a common trope you see is like a guy who's some kind of like special operations guy who's like, oh, he was a SEAL or he was this or that. And then they're selling a course that's like, it's like, looks like sort of military training, you think, but it's like, it's not really clear what it is. Like that's the type of stuff to stay away from, right? Because you don't want to do a military course. Probably you want to do like actual like firearms training course. And like the more bullshit that people put in the courses about like tactics and team communicator, like civilian CQB stuff, it's just kind of like, this is getting into fantasy land.
Well, it's like, I guess that would be the differentiator at the beginning of the funnel. Like, do you want to play dress up or do you want to get better with your pistol?
Yes. I mean, that would be fair. And then, yeah, do you want to get better? That's the real question. You can look for people like a background in competitive shooting is good. So guys that have shot competitively, do shoot competitively. That's going to give you some idea of that person's individual skill, right? So that's important as well. Where it's tough to vet individual skill with a guy with a military background. Like as an outsider, like, well, you don't know if this guy was any good at what says he was doing. Like, who knows?
Well, you could probably tell just by watching videos and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I could, but it takes a practiced eye sometimes to know what you're looking at. And a lot of times stuff is edited in such a way that you can't really tell what's going on. Mm. You know, like flashy edits and whatnot that's not a good sign, in my opinion.
What about something like, are there trainers that don't do demos of drills on the range?
There are. Like, I would stay the hell away from those guys. I've heard about guys like guys in the same field as me, like that don't even travel with a gun. That is crazy to me.
Well, so yeah, explain it, you explain it, what we're talking about, but like you say, this is the drill that we're doing, and you load your gun up and you shoot the drill to show people. Yeah.
So like part of being like, as far as adult learning, what works very well is like I will show people, then I'll explain it. So shoot, like we're going to do this thing. They see it. Like, okay. Then I verbally explain it. Right. Then I might show them some bad examples, show them some other things. Right. But they're watching and they're like, okay, yeah, I get it. There are guys that do not do that do not bring a gun and do not demo. And there's actually kind of an old school mentality around not doing that. For example, one guy I met, he just took over a firearms unit at a big agency, and he made a rule, which was all of the instructors here have to shoot their guns in front of students every day. And that was a big rule. That is a game changer for a lot of people, if you can imagine it. Right? Now their thinking is like, oh, I don't want to screw up in front of people. I don't want to, whatever, like make the demo about themselves. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what they're thinking, but obviously the demos are very important. So if there's instructors who aren't demoing, like I would not be interested in that.
Yeah. I mean, cause especially with something like just shooting, unless, if you're not moving around at a really fast pace or something, that's not something where like, you get too old to demo or something like, and why aren't you current? Why aren't you shooting well?
Yeah. Like to me, it's beyond my understanding, but it's like, that's not a very prevalent opinion anymore. It's like, there's not a lot of guys that don't demo. I don't think their businesses are going that well, nor should they.
All right. So yeah, let's get into some current topics and ones that you cover on your YouTube channel. You're cracking a smile already. It's like, this has been, I
don't even know where
I'm I want to talk to you about the SIG stuff. And the reason I want to talk to you about it is, let's say it's twofold. Number one, there's a lot of people that I talk to that, maybe aren't as entrenched in, the firearm community, but they're unaware of it, the entire 320 situation. One of my friends owns a 320, and he has not been aware of what's going on with them. So that's number one. And number two, again, going back to what we've been talking about, you don't have a dog in the fight in any way. And
not really, no.
So I think that for you, and again, you've been covering it on your YouTube channel for probably over a year now, right?
I think longer. I've been talking about it for quite a long time, but that's an issue that I think it's very interesting, but it's also, there's microcosms of other issues there. So yeah, we can talk about the SIG thing for sure.
Yeah. So if you could just like, as if someone isn't aware of the whole 320 situation, like just kind of get people up to speed, like at a baseline.
Okay. Well,
level.
So I'll just point to the facts. There's a lot of footage out there. We're talking in the dozens. There's dozens of pieces of compelling footage, which will be police officer gets out of a car, their gun goes off. Police officer like struggling with a suspect, gun goes off. Things like that. Those sorts of clips of footage that we've seen, and it's SIG 320s involved in those situations. That's one thing. And then, well, I guess there's other issues with the 320 as well. But that's the big one, is that there appears to be, well, there's definitely footage of the guns going off in circumstances where they shouldn't be going off. And then there's questions, well, how is this happening? Guns don't go off without you pulling the trigger. Well, obviously this one went off, so something's going on. And then what we're hearing from SIG is that this is predominantly holster related. When you hear from SIG, it will be in the context of like, oh, okay, yeah, that's a Safariland holster. Like they can get their keys in there. That was an interesting piece of footage from a couple months ago where a female officer set a backpack down like this on the ground, and her holstered firearm went off. And then I remember seeing the SIG rep saying, "Oh, it looks like you got the strap of the backpack in the holster." And then I'm looking at the footage like, well, I don't see that part. Like I don't understand how you got there. So that's, as far as the factual stuff, that's what we know. Now there's a lot of theories. There's a lot of questions or discussion about what exactly is going on, because if you're like me, like I think there's a mechanical problem with the gun. All right. I think it's very low probability. I think because of the modularity of the gun and the tolerances and the different parts and the generations of the guns, as time goes on, the design has subtly changed in a few ways. I think it gets to a point where like the gun can be put together in just such a way that it can go off when it's put under some torsion or like knocked or something. But I own 320s, like my SIG 320s don't do that, right? I can't make them do that, right? But I can't deny, like I've definitely seen this footage. So that's kind of where the discussion is. Now, they got really interesting earlier this year when SIG came out and attacked the community like, oh, this ends today. I remember their It Ends Today campaign. Well, it did not end that day. Unsurprisingly, when you go and tell the internet how it's going to be, it does not work out that way. So it didn't work out that way for SIG. But that was hey, it ends today. Like we're putting an end to all these lies. They called people engagement hacking grifters, which took that a little bit personally as a compliment. It's not easy to hack the engagement. It's not an easy thing to do. Yeah. So that is where it sits. That's kind of the state of play right now. Now, a lot of things have happened. There's been a lot of ranges have banned 320s now. A lot of firearms instructors have banned 320s from their classes. There's tales of very, very cheap SIG 320s being sold. We're talking, a couple $100 to buy a used 320. We've seen footage in some markets. A pretty common number I get from dealers is if they're a gun dealer, they're buying used 320s. If they're buying them at all, they're buying them for $100 a throw. So that's what's happened in the market. It's like it's kind of like the market's gotten together and done something, irrespective of what happens in court with SIG. People don't really care about that. And irrespective of what SIG says, it's like this is just kind of happening either way. I know quite a few guys that work at police agencies that have banned these things, and they've like written up reports, or they've had some other discussion about it. Like they're basically like people have just started getting rid of them. Doesn't matter what SIG is saying. Do I think SIG will eventually lose in court? Probably. But that stuff takes years.
Lose in court? Like what is the case that's going on?
There's dozens of them.
Okay, so you mean as I don't.
I mean, out of those dozens of cases, there will be some case that puts together the evidence in just the right way that the jury finds it, and there's been a bunch of cases already settled, right? Settled or Sig has won in court, and the issue is, I think it's very difficult for people to pin down exactly what is happening here, because I think on the mechanical side, it's a constellation of factors. It's not one thing. It's very multivariate, as near as I can tell.
So what about as far as people like, and it's tough because I've seen, I think it was Gray Guns and people like that. They've put out some videos about what they think is going on mechanically, but at the same time, they do have a vested interest. They sell a P320 trigger.
Yeah, and in the case of Gray Guns, he's already, the guy's destroyed his credibility already. This is the guy. I mean, there was patent assignment document put out a few months ago involving Gray Guns, where, and this is why I say this is a long, complicated story. So early on in the days of the Sig 320, there was other issues as well. One which resulted in the voluntary upgrade that you've probably heard about if you followed the Sig 320 stuff really close. Okay, well, early on in the Sig 320 days, guys were putting out footage showing that the guns were not drop safe, like nobody could argue it. It's an inertia thing from the trigger, whereas if the gun was dropped at a certain angle, the trigger would carry the inertia, and like the trigger would actuate and the gun would go off.
What year was this? Do you remember?
I think 2017 is when the patent assignment came out, but when they got a patent for the fix. So the guns came out in 2014, and I think they were already working on a fix in 2016-ish, something like that. But like real early on, they were working on a fix. So the guns came out, they're definitely not drop safe. So then Sig had a program to voluntarily upgrade them. And a part of the design change was changing the weight distribution in the trigger so that it would not do that anymore. All right. Interestingly, Bruce Gray was involved in that redesign and actually designed it and assigned the patent to Sig. Now, that was really interesting when that document came out a couple months ago, because that proved that Bruce, contemporaneous to this, Bruce was saying in public, we don't know what's going on with it. I was like, no, they're safe. These things are safe. They're absolutely safe. Well, he's designing the trigger fix that he ended up assigning to Sig, or you sold it to him, I would assume. I mean, but definitely assigned the patent to them.
Wow.
Yeah, so it'd be like, you would be crazy to listen to Bruce Gray about any of this, I think. You'd be absolutely out of your mind.
Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that. But the reason I even brought up Gray Guns is because what I was getting at is, have people tried to like hypothesize what specifically is going on with the gun? Or like you said, do you think it's a number of things working together?
I think it's a number of things. So there was another interesting video. You probably saw the Sig Armorer guy. That's a guy who currently manufactures and sells a fix, which I own and I like, a fix for another of the 320's problems, and that's that they blow up sometimes. I've been hit in the face with exploding Sig on more than one occasion.
Really?
Yeah. So what guys call it out of battery detonation, and that's the gun goes off when it's not all the way in battery, and then the pressure comes out the side of the case of the round, if that makes sense, and then what you'd see is the side of the frame of the Sig would come off, would blow out. Now, when that started happening, Sig said, hey, that's ammo. Bruce Gray said, oh, that's ammo. In every case, that's ammo. Me, from where I sat, I'm like, I could see that because dudes are always messing with their ammo. Like in a competitive shooting environment, especially, guys are always messing around with that. So I could see ammo doing that. Then I saw a couple of them went off in my classes, and I was like, and then it was one of them in class, like, the guy's shooting factory ammo. Like, and I watched the gun, like, it was very strange to me. And again, like enough time went on where people were like, no, it's not a fully supported chamber, which means the edge of like the side walls of the case are not fully supported by the chamber of the barrel because it doesn't get pushed far enough in there. Like if you look at like, and I'm being weird about this because Sig would say that it's a fully supported chamber they have, but I could take my Sig barrel and put it next to any other barrel that does have a fully supported chamber, set rounds in them, and it's like, you will see a difference, right? But Sig would still say, no, that one's fully supported.
So are you saying like that out of battery detonation, like, so I have an X5 Legion, and I put I think it's the lighter spring in there. So
Yes.
So that gun, for example, you have to push it back into battery sometimes because like the slide won't come all the way forward.
Right.
So is what you're saying, like, if the slide is not all the way forward on the gun and there's like that little space between the barrel hood and like the back part of the slide where the striker is,
if the gun
goes off right then.
If the gun was to go off then, that'd be a problem.
Right.
And this guy called, like, his business is Sig Armor. He sells a different disconnector. So the disconnector is the part inside of the gun that disconnects the trigger from those mechanisms when the gun's out of battery. Right? So the aftermarket disconnector like ensures that the gun is much more like it's in battery before the trigger is engaged. All right? And you can tell it's a very obvious difference from the factory configuration of the gun. Right? So it's like the factory config like has a disconnector that whatever, I mean, we could like I changed mine for a reason. Then you look at the barrels like, well, those don't look like fully supported chambers. And then it's like, well, there's no wonder I hear about these things blowing up all the time, especially in a competitive shooting environment when people use the lighter springs, which are going to tend not to get it back into battery, as you've noticed. And then if they use reloads, which if there's some irregularity to it or it's not, it doesn't quite want to go in the chamber, you don't have a strong spring there to send it home.
Mm.
So yeah, it all of that makes sense to me.
So you mentioned a bunch of things. Number one is a lot of agencies and different people are coming out and banning these guns. And the thing that's been interesting to me is not that, but to see SIG's response, because isn't it true that they were, I don't know if it was like a cease and desist or they were countersuing people that ban the gun on ranges and in agencies because they think it's defamation essentially?
I don't think that. So I think that they are suing. Like one of them that I've looked at a little bit was the case of Washington's criminal justice training center, whatever their academy, that stuff they banned the 320, and SIG is suing them. But looking at the details of the suit, it's not really about this defamation, like what you would think it would be about. It's that they didn't follow like this or that internal procedure correctly. So even if successful in the suit, it looks like, well, they could just ban it some other, like using the correct, procedure that they have. So like the SIG's legal strategy here seems like lawfare. Like, oh, we're going to, we'll make a show that we're fighting all this stuff, but I don't think they can really do much about a lot of that.
And what about, didn't they update the owner's manual to say don't carry one in the chamber?
Well, what they would say is that they gave you another option that's like this, like it's even a safer option. Like if you're not comfortable carrying it this is what SIG rep said, man. I watched
it's ridiculous.
It's even a safer option than carrying it than having one in the chamber.
That's what it says in the owner's manual.
No, that's what the SIG VP of marketing or whatever, like consumer relations, like Phil Strader. Like I watched an interview. He explained it. He's like, that's how he explained it. It's like, no, it's like, yeah, I mean, of course, like we know people are going to carry them with one in the chamber, but we're just, if you're not comfortable with that, this is even a safer thing you can do is just don't have one in the chamber until you're going to fire it.
Well, no shit. Like if you don't want to go skiing and break your leg, then don't get on the mountain in the first place. Like what are we talking about?
That's true.
That's just such a ridiculous thing. Don't carry one in the chamber.
It's a safer option.
The fact that they even have to say that though, like does Glock have these problems?
I don't think so. And that's another thing. Like a lot of this is colored by I have a lot of experience and I've seen an uncommanded discharge. Like I wasn't with a SIG 320, but I've seen one happen.
In a class?
Yeah. So you would say like, this is impossible. It's like, no, dude, like I have personally witnessed it.
What gun was it?
It was an M&P. And it was not an M&P that you'd hang on Smith & Wesson. It was crazy, the modifications inside of that gun.
Right.
I mean, again, that's another piece of this. It's like the possible modifications. But it's like, no, I have witnessed this. And again, even though I saw it happen one time, and I go over, I'm looking at the physical, I'm looking at the holsters. Like, no, this gun went up, the front of the holster exploded out. This gun was in the holster when it went off. And like everything about it said, I saw what I saw. But even though when I saw it, I'm like, well, that's impossible. Guns don't go off unless you pull the trigger. Like, well, if you take one of the we take a gun, you modify it enough, you can get it to do things.
Well, that I would say in their defense, if there is guns like that specifically, like, yeah, if you buy a gun and you switched everything out, all the internal components, everything, is it even a SIG? Is it even what you bought it anymore?
I don't think so. Well, a good example, more recent, was the Trigger Tech Ace trigger system for Glocks, which there's a hubbub the last couple weeks with that trigger system. It's not necessarily safe. Guys were getting them to go, just whacking them with hammers. But then again, it's a crazy modification to a Glock. I mean, you're changing pretty much everything, and this thing is on the edge so that they, like the trigger people, send a detailed series of checks to ensure that the gun is actually safe if you're installing this in the gun. I wouldn't tell you to install this in your gun. If you are going to use it, you should be very safe and all of that stuff. Like, this is not recommended for like just normal, like, people just to mess around with. But it's like, yeah, you can make guns super unsafe if you start messing around with them. And typically, to be fair, if there's a gun that's really unsafe, it's almost always the end user that did that shit. Almost always.
So this is the thing, like, how would you take a company like Sig? They just came out with a 2011 and It looks pretty sick. I'm not gonna lie to you. And there's people out there that are reviewing it and they're like, I don't want to like this thing, but I do. And I'm like, I get it. It looks pretty sick. Would you buy anything from Sig today?
I won't anymore. Like I said, I was like, no, I won't buy anything else from Sig. Just because it's like, no, I don't want it. Like, I don't want to buy any more crap from them. That's just how I feel, though. It's like, it's not like, oh, we need to boycott Sig or whatever. I understand they're going to be around and they're going to exist. It's just, well, I don't want to buy stuff from them.
Well, that's what I mean. I don't mean like, rail against Sig, but like, if a company handles a situation like the 320 situation, the way they're handling it, it's like, okay, how much can I trust this company in general?
I think look, dude, this is the 24-year-old girl who's like had a bunch of their terrible boyfriends she's had, but she's super hot, and she's selling you this story, and it's just like, you know the deal. And it's just like, hey man, you want to sign on the dotted line? I think you know how this is gonna go. It's kind of like that, except I suppose the Sig 2011 is not very tempting, like comparatively. But you know what I mean? Like it's like you already know the deal. Like they already told you they're gonna ass fuck you. Right? They're telling you that. Like they're not gonna tell you the truth. So you better hope that gun works when you get it, because if it doesn't, it's not like they're gonna do anything about it.
So what do you think like a proper response would have looked like from them? Because I think about like, what if they're to do a recall? That's like their Glock 19. That would cripple them, wouldn't it?
I imagine it would be devastating. Well, proper response, I think it starts with putting out relevant information. Like it starts with that. So here's a good example. There's one YouTuber, Gungus Khan, I think is his name, put out a video a couple years ago, and he reported, sincere and credible, his video, if you go watch it, he didn't have the actual event on footage, but he was at a steel challenge match. He takes his 320, holsters it, puts his hands up to get in the start position, and the gun goes off. It hits his knife that he has in his pocket. He shows footage of the knife. He's like, all these witnesses saw what happened, this whole story. He sent his gun to Sig, and they said to him, oh, you have this bad spring. We fixed the spring, and they sent him the gun back. Now it's safe. I would really like to know what it is they did and why they did it, if that makes sense, right? So, like, let's say this story, like, I believe his story is true. Like, I don't doubt it, any part of it. But just think, they sent a gun back to Sig that did an uncommanded discharge, and then Sig sent it back to him and said, this part was bad. We don't have that level of information from Sig right now. They're saying this isn't a problem. They're saying it's not even a thing. You see what I mean here? It's like, Well, it starts with just share the correct information. And that is one thing I think is a shame in all this. So there's a lot of 320 owners that are out there like, well, how do I know if my gun's safe? Like, what do I do? That's a legit question. Or I see one of these used ones, pretty attractive price now in a lot of cases. well, how do I know if that one's safe? Like, should I mess with that? Well, if we had information on like a way to vet the guns as an end user, well, that would be a great start. And Sig actually did that last week. They did put out a video like how to check your SIGs. Again, so Sig is way late to this party, but that's what I would start with, is put out accurate information about how to assess if the guns are safe or not. Then it's like isolate whatever the actual problem is, send out the fix. They'd have to be open and forthcoming about it. Like, I don't think any of this is going to happen, but that would be what you'd want.
That was the one where there was Phil in that video, right?
Yes.
And what did he say?
I mean, it was super boring. It was just making a bunch of technical checks on your gun. It was like, take it apart. It's like, push on this thing and this thing should do this.
But there's no root cause analysis. It's just
no. It's like, well, what was left out of the video was, well, what should I do if it's not working right? It would just be, well, you'd send it to Sig, of course. Right? It wasn't to make you understand anything. It was just a series of checks you can do to ensure the gun is safe.
So would you still shoot your 320s?
I did a few weeks ago, but that was at a unit that shoots 320s. So, I mean, do I shoot them? Yeah. Like the really wonky stuff I mean, this is another problem for Sig, is like, I don't really understand how the guns work. I'm not sure a lot of people do. I've seen footage of guys just touching the trigger, just applying the slightest bit of pressure. Then they push on the top of the slide and you can hear the striker fall. Whoa. Like, my guns don't do that stuff. Like, mine don't do that. So it's like, and they don't all do that. Some, you'll see these different tests done on different guns and they respond differently. So you have to wonder, it's like, what is up with these things that they're not consistent in these ways mechanically? Because I've never had, like my Glocks don't act different to one another. They all act the same.
So is there something to like not buying a new release on the first production run from any company?
I don't think that's, honestly, I don't think that's bad advice. Like I try not to. Like, if I buy a vehicle, it'll be one that they've produced for a few years that hasn't been changed. If I buy a video game, I'm not buying one in early access. Typically, I'm going to buy one that's out, it's patched, we fixed it, it works, or anything. So it's like, does that make sense? Yeah, I think that makes sense. Here, a good example to my recent memory is the Kimber 2K11. They sent me one of those and I've been shooting it, but I anticipate there'll already be changes. Like, they've already changed the safety design for those guns and the ones that go out, right? Because of feedback they've gotten. So it's like, if you just waited some time and then picked one up, it'd be a different product, really.
How many rounds do you have through the Kimber at this point?
It's over 10,000.
Okay. And that's adequate for you to call it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you what I think. Like, I like the shooting dynamics of it better to the Staccato stuff. Honestly, the P or the XL, I like it better. I don't like the warrant. I mean, it's not going to have the insane Staccato warranty. I don't like the optic mounting system. I don't like the grip as much. They did fix the safety. But as far as the way the gun shoots, I do like it better. I think if I put a little grip tape on it, I think it'd be my like preferred training gun if I don't want to put like beat up on my expensive pistols.
What do you like about the way it shoots more than your Staccatos? It's
faster. So the reciprocation feels faster and more violent and flatter. Whereas the Staccato P, for example, is pushy and slow comparatively. Now, it's not actually slow. It just feels pushy and slow. So like my Atlas stuff is very fast and way less violent than the Kimber, if that makes sense.
Definitely. And do you like, are you preferential to like a fast reciprocating slide because it means that the gun is going to be ready to go again?
Yeah, so because I feel like I'm not waiting on the gun. I feel like the gun's waiting on me. That's a shift. I used to prefer slow, pushy shooting. And that was like iron sight days. That's where I'm like almost like tracking the sight in recoil. Like, I'd still be aware of it in recoil. Now with shooting red dots, I just want the gun to be faster. Like, if it's well balanced, I don't care if it's violent that much. Again, if that tracks for you.
Definitely, yeah. And I think something that's interesting that you talk about is like, especially these days, alt compensators are the new rage. Like, everybody's trying to mitigate recoil as much as possible. But what I've heard you say is like, That's not what you're focused on. You're not focused on getting the recoil to be as minimal as possible. You're focused on like, okay, how fast do the sights get back on target?
People want to stop the gun from recoiling. It's like, that doesn't work. Yeah, it's going to recoil. Just let it. And then they'll look at me shooting and they're like, well, that looks super low effort, but the gun, I like the way it tracks. Yes.
So the Kimber, you're thinking of making that your main training 2011 platform?
Well, it's just like to save rounds on the Atlas stuff. Because there's a life cycle to these things, right? So I only have 2 Atlas pistols, so I'd like save them, right? And then if I just put rounds on the Kimber or put rounds on a Staccato, then I don't really care about the life cycle of that gun. It'll die when it dies. Because I tend to use things up and destroy them. Like that's the way it goes.
Well, you use your tools. They're not safe queens.
Exactly. Like they will all die in the end. It's just, I want to manage it.
Yeah. They will die noble deaths.
Yes, they will die at the right time.
Yes. Did Atlas send you those or did you buy those?
Those were bought.
Okay. And that's, again, I don't know if I said this on the podcast, but that's what I like about your YouTube reviews of these guns is, first of all, you'll say if they sent it to you, but you're perfectly comfortable telling us what you think of them.
Oh, to me, it's almost like, I feel like I would have messed up. So if somebody sends me a gun, I almost want to be harder on it. Right? Because, you know, I get it. They're trying to market their stuff or whatever, but it's like, I don't want to get, you know, be a part of that in that way. Whereas like the Kimber thing specifically, I like that they sent me that. And I said, yeah, they sent me this. And then I said whatever I said. I was pretty rough on a couple of choices they made with the gun, and they send me emails and no, we appreciate it. They liked it. And it's like that I like. The Staccato stuff I've bought, right? Because that's last year especially, that was a really interesting brand to shoot. People were shooting more 2011s. I see a lot of 2011s in classes. I see a lot more cops with Staccatos, whether you like it or not. I just see a lot of that. And it's the type of cops that show up to classes as well. So there's a lot of overlap there. So I was like, oh, I should shoot a Staccato. This would be really interesting. And I bought those and shot them. Like Staccato doesn't like any of that shit. Any of it. Like that I'm doing, they don't like it. Going to their booth at SHOT Show, there's a big demeanor shift from about half the people there on the floor. I'm like, oh, these people don't like me. And it was like, I mean, that's fine with me, but it's just like, I could tell like they aren't into it at all.
Why? What have you said that's harsh about the Staccato?
I think overall I've been pretty positive, but if there's a problem, I'll say, I think there's a lot of brands. I think Sig would be like this too, where it's like they're very sensitive to like what gets said about them or like in what way it's being said. Like not everybody likes that kind of freewheeling style.
Well, yeah, no shit.
Yeah, no shit.
It's not fun to have somebody say something mean about you, but
right.
at the end of the day, you subject yourself to that.
Yes, and in the end, I'd say I'm like very positive on the Staccato products.
That's what I mean.
Like, yes. I'm just like, well, I mean, the main downside is that it costs a lot of money. I mean, it's almost like, well, that's okay. Like maybe you can't buy one, but it's like, it's fine for what it is. It's good.
So do you think Staccato, they just, like as far as 2011s go, it seems to me like they just, whatever they did marketing wise to get cops to carry a 2011, like they freaking did it right.
No, I do agree with that. And they made smart choices and they got out of the competition business in the right way. So making the magazines work reliably, which is always a problem for 2011s, and then just building them in 9mm instead of building heavier calibers. Now the guns are way, 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 way better. Way better. Like it's not even a comparison to the type of 2011s guys were shooting 20 years ago. Like in terms of the reliability, used to send mags off to get them tuned. I'm serious, like polished, like the feed lips checked, new springs. Like there was a time when you'd buy a 2011 magazine with no expectation that it would work when you got it. You'd still need a gunsmith to tune it.
So they've just commercialized it that much in however many years. Yeah,
and then changing the product mix. So getting away from building the heavy calibers, like building 38 super guns or building 40 cal. Now the guns guns don't break all the time. I mean, heavier calibers like just eat stuff up. It destroys it way faster.
Do you have an XC?
I do.
What do you think of it?
I think it's what it should be. It's a lot of fun. It's like it's exactly what I wanted.
What are your thoughts on comps?
Comps generally, like, I like comps. I think they're a good thing. On a rifle, it's a total game changer, of course. On a handgun, it typically makes it louder and doesn't do that much. Does it do something? Yes. Do you need a comp? No. Can you tell a difference? Is it interesting? Yeah, for sure. Like, that's kind of where it is. Probably the best comp I've used, the Radian Ramjet on Glocks, is probably the best setup. It's really good.
So I have I think kind of partially because of you bought a Glock 47 and I bought the Ramjet and what is it? Ramjet and what's the other? Afterburner?
Yeah. That's
just the barrel and comp setup that they have. So you think something like that is like overall worth it?
Worth the money?
Well, it is expensive.
Yeah, like when guys are like, is it worth it? Like, what do you mean the money? It's like, well, money-wise, it's dumb.
If money was outside, if it wasn't an object,
yeah,
like,
totally,
would you put it on your gun?
I mean, if you want a Glock 47 that's just sick, like, you're like, I kind of want to do all the stuff to it. Like, I want to have a nice trigger on it, grip tape or whatever. I can deal with it easy. I want it to be comped. I want it to have a nice optic on it. That makes sense to me. Like, it's a very good gun. Not super useful competitively, but who cares?
Right. So why is the 47 the one for you, as you'd say?
Oh, just the reciprocation. So it's like Glock's got a lot better with Gen 5. They're very accurate now. They're like super accurate mechanically in a way that, man, you can actually tell. Whatever they did to the grip, like getting rid of the finger grooves, I really liked. Yeah, those subtle, like the subtle type of tweaks are there, but then I think the 47 is nicer because it's balanced for an optic. So, I mean, if you consider the weight of the slide of a pistol, right? Like, if we change the weight, we'd have to change the recoil spring. Mm-hmm. So what they've done on the 47 is they changed the recoil spring. So it's a shorter, heavier spring from the Glock 19. And then it comes MOS. So you're going to add the weight of an optic. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's like heavier spring and a heavier slide, and it balances out nicely. The gun feels fast reciprocating and very neutral when you're shooting it. And I can definitely tell a difference to the Glock 17s and Glock 34s. Yeah. It's noticeable enough where it's like, I don't want to shoot my Glock 34s anymore. It's not that they're horrible. It's like, I can tell a difference. Like it's a very noticeable difference the way the gun reciprocates.
So what do you do to a brand new Glock that you buy? Take a 47, for example.
It depends on what I want to do with it. Like, typically, like if I can do whatever I want to, get grip tape. So like $20 Talon grip tape. I like the brass plug, like the Speedwell thing from CH Precision, and then whatever trigger. I'm fine with the factory shoe, but whatever trigger I want in there. It's like guys are always wanting me to use stuff, but Apex triggers drop in are very nice. Whatever. You could do whatever you want with the trigger. Forget that. And then put an optic on it. And that's it. There's nothing else. Like, there's nothing else I really need to do or want to do. I don't stipple anything or cut out anything. I don't change the recoil spring. Like a lot of guys do that. Like, I don't do any of that stuff.
Do you, what do you think of the Timney stuff?
I don't like the Timney triggers for Glocks. They get dirty and they don't want to reset.
Yep.
So it's like, that's been an issue.
So I don't know what it is mechanically. I had one for my Gen 4 17 that I put in, and it's honestly, it feels to me like a great trigger for just like a drop-in solution. But yeah, it had that problem where it just wouldn't reset. But after like, I don't know how many rounds I've put through that gun since, over 10,000. I just put a little bit of grease on the connector, and I haven't had that problem anymore. I don't know if it's something that wears out, kind of, or how that even works.
It might be. It might be you greased it, and it's like the grease spread to the right spots, and it's like, it's fine.
Because I used to take, after every time I shot that gun, I would take the whole trigger group out and clean it and grease it again, so it would reset, which is a lot.
It's not for me. It's not how I do it.
Yeah. Okay, so, and then 2011s, like if you had to choose one 2011 based on all the stuff that you've shot
For what? Like, what am I choosing it for?
Well, for, let's say, competition?
Well, I mean, Atlas makes the best stuff, I think, for that. Or, I mean, the best big builder, like that you can order their shit. Like, I like the Atlas stuff a lot. MPA stuff is good as well. And that's the two brands you'll see guys in USPSA talk about, is MPA and Atlas. The MPA stuff is heavier. Like, it's not to my preference, really. I like a lighter gun and more neutral gun, if that makes sense. If I could only pick one Staccato to, like, or I just gave it away, but if I pick one 2011 to do all this stuff, I like the plastic frame on the Staccatos. It's a game changer. I mean, again, it's like maybe not the best, but it's like you could wear that with different clothing. You could conceal it. You could shoot it on the range and it's fine. It could shoot it all day long and the plastic grips don't mess up my hand. It's good enough if you're shooting it in matches. Like there's a lot to recommend the Staccato stuff, especially the warranty. I think is excellent. Which I have used.
Yeah, why'd you use it?
Well, things happen sometimes. I had one of my guns. Really, the reason I sent it back was to fit a slide stop, which they didn't. They told me, like, we could just send you the slide stop. It's probably better if we make sure it fits. I'm like, cool. And then they ended up changing it. They found that the guide rod had bent.
How might that have happened?
No idea. It's a Scooby-Doo mystery.
That's strange.
It is.
Was there any like scratches on the muzzle or anything like that? Or?
I think there may have been. If you drop that thing on concrete, it'll go off. Funny how that works.
So I guess that didn't happen, but if it did, that's pretty wild.
It did a little bit.
And then I guess, okay, so yeah, we talked about this before. We talked about, I pretty much still shoot irons. I haven't made the transition yet. I have a dot on one of my pistols and like I use it sometimes, but I haven't gotten fully proficient with a dot where there's no turning back. So for somebody that is on irons right now, like how would you recommend transitioning to a dot?
If you're proficient, like when I transitioned to a dot, I put a dot on my gun and shot it and nothing changed. Right, but that'd be if you've a well-developed index with your iron sights, you can present the pistol and the sights come right in front of you. It's like, that's good. Like then you could just put a dot on and shoot it. You don't need to do anything. It's going to be as complicated as you want to make it. Without a well-developed index, the dot's going to feel like struggle bus because you'll draw the pistol and then be like trying to acquire the dot or acquire the sight instead of having the gun index where you're looking anyway. If you want to shoot a dot, I would recommend just get one and put it on there. Like that simple. Just do it. And this could become a little bit of an irrelevant question now for training because everybody has dots now. I mean, as far as the dudes that are doing really serious training, they all have dots. I like iron sights. I'd rather compete with iron sights. I think they're more interesting. There's more nuance to it. But that's not what people want. They want the dots.
Do you think that objectively they're better than irons?
As far as like faster, more accurate?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's been a fact of life as long as I've been shooting. Like there's been equipment divisions where it's like, yeah, you get an electronic sight in open division. It's faster and better. And it's using one of those guns, you're like, yes, this is obviously faster and better. Now, as far as the practicalities of it or like what it will really matter, like if you have on your carry gun, whether or not you have a dot, do I think that would make a difference? Probably not. Probably doesn't matter.
So is the biggest hurdle for people like finding the dot with just getting that like index and grip angle down, or is it like actual getting you, like for me, it just seems like, I don't know, there's something about like the fact that irons are actually there and the dot is just a projection that like it fucks with like my trigger control. You know what I mean?
It fucks with your trigger control?
Not trigger control, but it feels like if I'm like presenting a pistol with irons and like getting a sight picture and squeezing the trigger, it's like those irons are there, but that dot is kind of just like floating around. It's like it's not a real thing to me, which is strange because on a rifle, there's no issue with that.
I get the sense you're talking about. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, I would say like that, they just don't like it, the way that the dot seems like jumpy and floaty. I would say a lot of your training would be getting acclimated to how busy the dot reads when you're actually shooting. You know, like it reads really busy, but usually it's not as busy as it looks. You definitely see some of that. I would say like most of the resistance or whatever, people who don't want dots, it'll be something like that. They'll be like, I just don't like them. I mean, it kind of comes down to that. It's pretty much that simple. And you don't need to shoot it. What do you need it for? You don't need it at all. You can do whatever you need to do with your iron sights, and it's not really an issue. So that'd be most of the resistance I've seen.
Well, I guess with aging eyes too, it's easier, right?
So I mean, that's what people say. Yeah, there's some to that. The dot's easier with aging eyes. It's mostly like the irons become harder. It's not like really the dot becomes easier. You know?
Yeah. So I don't think I asked you this. If somebody out there is listening to this and wants to get into shooting competitively, I guess that's probably a loaded question, but like how would you
not really.
How do you recommend that they start doing that?
Well, the first thing is take a look at what you want to do, because it's gonna force some specialization. Like in a good way. You'll have to pick a game, pick a gun, you want to do something that intrigues you or that you find interesting. I'd say shooting USPSA pistol shooting or PCSL, IDPA, one of the action disciplines with a pistol. That's a great place to start. People are always nervous about showing up. What do they have to do? Or what are the requirements be? You don't have to do what I did. I mean, I trained a lot before I ever showed up as far as my technical skill. No one's going to give a shit about your technical skill when you show up. No matter how bad you think you are or whatever, no one cares. I mean, and that's hard to say. It's like if you go to the doctor, maybe you have a weird feeling about oh, I've got this growth on my dick. Maybe that embarrasses you, but the doctor doesn't give a shit. Yeah. They've seen that a lot, right?
Right.
You go to a match, everybody has seen the new guy that doesn't. It's literally no one cares. And that's the hardest thing to impress on. He's no one's going to remember your score the first time. Just go and shoot. And then the other thing I've seen is people will stand in line to help you. So if you have questions about even how it works or what equipment do I need or this or that, the easiest answer is just go to a match. It really is. Because there'll be people there that they're walking around carrying the answer to your question maybe. Right? You'll be like, oh yeah, I want, that holster with that belt. Yeah, that's great. And I can, oh, okay. I see how this all works here. I could do this. You just show up. People will stand in line to help you. I've definitely seen that.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then we haven't talked about dry fire much, but you were obviously big on how important dry fire is to the point you've written books about it. So what can you tell people about dry fire and how important it is to actually improving?
I would say dry fire is your training. So if you get you'll get a limited exposure to shooting live ammo, whatever that would be. I mean, shooting 1,000 rounds of 9mm a month, that is a lot. It is a ton for people. I mean, for a normal person to be shooting. But if you're really into training and competing, you might want to shoot 10 times that, 20 times that. It might be what you want to shoot, but you can't, right? You're limited. And what ends up happening is the dry fire is your training and the live fire is kind of the test, where there's just daily training, in very serious and systematic fashion, setting up targets, setting time limits, drawing, reloading, moving, every little technical thing that you want to work on, you can polish it with dry fire. And that for most people, that's the only way you're going to do it because you are not going to shoot that much. It's not possible.
Yeah, and I've heard you say even if you even have 5 minutes a day to dry fire, that will drastically improve your shooting ability if you stay consistent.
It's mostly the habit of doing it daily or near daily. Having the gun in your hand every day, practicing, drawing from a holster, transitioning targets, whatever, all those different things.
And so another thing, there's a lot out, there's, I don't know, a million different things about trigger press specifically, right? There's a lot of people that will tell you pull from the wall, do it slow, let the trigger surprise you, or know exactly when it's going to break, how much, and there's also people that say if your grip is adequate, then trigger press is completely irrelevant. What are your thoughts on trigger press?
I would say I focus more on grip. I'm one of those people. I wouldn't say that it doesn't matter, but I'm going to grip the gun a certain way. And then the trigger pressing, I'm pressing it fast and learning to press it fast and training to press it fast. Typically, I won't have feel for a wall of the trigger or exactly where the reset point is. I don't really know that stuff usually when I'm shooting. a lot of that is that I hop platforms a lot. And the other part of it is that I don't really care about that stuff from a technique perspective. I don't really think that's helping. I just focus on pulling the trigger as straight as I can, as fast as I can. Which, I know that sounds kind of obvious, but it's a way different than like, shoot press to the wall and, some hyper specific technique. It'll like I end up seeing is people adopt a technique like that and they can shoot really well under certain circumstances. As soon as we change it towards like now they're not comfortable with that, they're fucked.
So how do you like, again, it's easy to keep a sight picture when you're pulling from the wall like one time at a couple of yards, but how do you get to the point where you can have a lot of movement in your index finger and be pulling the trigger really aggressively without disturbing the sights? Is that just dry fire or?
Well, it's part of it's dry fire, but it's also applying that same concept to live fire, right? So you'll learn to grip the gun a certain way and then press the trigger quickly, not moving anything else. And then when you're shooting live ammo, you keep your focus on the same point. And that's really hard for people. Like they focus on one thing during their dry training and they're getting a good outcome. But then once they start shooting live ammo, they become really result oriented. They're not focused on the same process anymore. The recoil's distracting them, whatever.
So, and then this might be a loaded question because you probably do a bunch of different drills, but if there's one drill or two or three that are most important to recommend to people.
Well, the one drill, and this has been a big part of the training push I've done the last, 8 years, is like doubles is a drill that I like. I mean, might articulate it a few different ways, but we're talking shooting really aggressive pairs, like about as fast as I can pull the trigger and not being worried too much about the outcome, like where the rounds go, just how the gun tracks and recoil, how I'm gripping it, and then making sure that I hold it in a way and I do the right thing with my eyes and the gun returns precisely back to the spot that I wanted to. And shooting drills like that, you learn about input, like how you move the gun when you're pulling the trigger. You get a sense for that input and then you can work to mitigate it. So I think the big thing there is shooting so aggressively that you're going to create these problems so you can work through them. And that's a big change. Like a lot of firearms trainers don't like that stuff.
They don't like it how?
Well, it does not the way they were trained and not the way they believe people should be trained. So a common thing you used to hear on like law enforcement ranges, like let's say a guy shoots a miss, like misses the target. Oh, hey, there's a lawyer attached to every bullet you fire and all this. And it becomes that whole discussion. Whereas and then those personalities would want to shut down the training that I want to do. I'm like, no, I want it to be fast. I want guys missing in their training. Right. So my philosophy is you look at any sort of shooting scenario that we want guys to be really proficient at. Okay. So like a dash cam footage of an officer, like really quickly backing up, getting his gun out really quick, boom, 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 shooting really aggressively. Okay. But like, all right, that's real world circumstance. And then you look at the training, it's very slow, standing, very deliberate. And we're like, well, the guys trained in this way, there's, the average hit percentage, like 1 in 5 rounds they fire hit their intended target nationally, something like that, some number like that. And guys trained in that way typically miss. The guys trained the way that I want them to train, I think they hit more. But that's a tough sell to people, right? That know that, our guys are missing a lot. So we have to slow down and shoot accurately. Whereas I'll say, hey, no, make the circumstances as real as you can as far as the movement, the speed of it. Allow dudes to miss a little bit and then they can figure it out faster. Which I know all that's true, what I'm saying. Like it's definitely a better outcome faster, but that's a tough sell to certain people.
Yeah, I think that's obviously everybody wants to leave the range with a fist-sized group, and but that doesn't from listening to you, that doesn't really teach you much. And I've heard you liken it to
teach you anything.
Driving a race car.
Yeah. I mean, if you like cars, that's a good example. Like I wouldn't go to a track day and drive the car like well inside the limit the whole day. I want to get the car on the limit. Like that's what I want to do. I mean, I might crash. I hope not. But it's like, I want to drive the car on the limit. The same as with shooting. It's like, well, I want to shoot the gun right on the limit of anything I can do. And yeah, I'm going to There'll be mistakes occasionally, but that's how I'm going to learn. If I'm shooting a fist-sized group and leaving the range, it's like what I know is I didn't learn anything that day.
Yeah.
Maybe I demonstrated skill and impressed the girls.
So how would you recommend people train that only have or mostly have access to indoor ranges that, you know, they don't like rapid fire, there's no moving around? Like, what do you recommend to people?
Oh my God. No rapid fire. It's like, well, there's limits to what you could do. It'd be like, what's your training going to be? A lot of dry fire. That's your training. And then I would cheat the indoor system as much as possible. Oh, I can't draw from a holster. Well, I'll pick the gun quick up off the table and, you know, fire as many rounds as I can fire without getting in trouble or whatever. I'll cheat the system a lot. But at the end of the day, again, your dry fire is your practice anyway. So the range limitations, they are real limitations, but it shouldn't be the end of the world.
And so I mentioned I have a couple pistols here to do like a quick video on like grip and stuff like that, but I got to take one of the cameras off the hook. So before we get there, what is next for you? Obviously you've been reinstated. Like, do you plan on competing in?
Oh, I've got plans. So I've got a match this month if everything works out. I've got a tight time limit. I have to drive overnight to make the match. It's not going to be a big match. It's just like shooting at the club I started at. So I should be back there and then I can slot some stuff in. We'll see. And I'm planning on shooting the 2011 in competition, which I haven't done yet. So that's got that going on. I have a book coming out soon, a red dot oriented dry fire manual, which should also be good. Coming to the YouTube channel, well, my Staccato HD 4.5 should be in any day, and I can test that and shoot it to your heart's content. So many things planned in addition to my actual work.
What match is that you're shooting this month?
It's just a club.
It's a club.
Match. It's not a big match. Okay. I haven't shot a match in 3 years. It's been 3 years. I think it'll be okay though. I've been practicing.
Okay. You don't anticipate any real ring rust?
No, I don't think so. I think like I've gotten better. I'm like more seasoned. I'm like better with age. Like training is better. My shooting's a lot better. Since the last time I've fired a nationals, I think I've shot like 750,000 rounds in my own practice. I mean, I've shot a ton. So I've like a lot of practice on a lot of different guns. And it was like, now I'm just kind of like getting back to the discipline of competitive shooting. Whereas I kind of like, I started off hyper focused and very disciplined. Like I'm doing this thing, this is my gun, this discipline, these matches, this is like, and I don't deviate from that at all. So you might say in that way, like shooting wasn't a lot of fun for me. Right? Like, cause I'm very focused on competition, but for most people, they're like, oh yeah, I'll try that gun. Oh, I want to do that other thing. Oh yeah, we'll just go to that event and just like, who cares? But I didn't do anything that way. I was like, again, very focused, very meticulous, just practicing with my one gun for the stuff I wanted to shoot and compete at. And it was like my whole life revolved around that. The last few years, it is like I've understood it's been to my advantage to shoot as many different guns as possible. Right. So I'm in a unique position where I have such a busy teaching schedule and so much access to ammunition, guns, different stuff. Like there's not real limits on me in that way. So I should lean into shooting as many different guns as possible. Now that's something that has helped me in my professional life, where it's be like, oh, you're in Ukraine now. It's like, you're going to teach at this club. And it's like this loaner CZ 75 from 1983 with these, you know, like non-existent, like that's your demo gun. It's like, great, great. But that's what they got. So that's what I'm using. So that would happen sometimes in years past. And then it got to the point where I was going to different units so much, or different agencies, where it's like, well, whatever they've got, like I will have an analog of it to train with. So I've trained with pretty much every big platform except for the M&P, which I'm working on now. But I've gotten all this experience, like shooting Sig 320s, different 2011s, Glocks. I mean, different Glock-like platforms, like shooting Shadow Systems or shoot a PDP. So many different guns that actually trained with, like I have a belt set up for it and I, train properly with it for a while and I get competent to where I learn like the little nuances of that platform where it's like, oh, on this gun, I hold it slightly differently actually to this gun, or like, oh, on this gun, I have to watch out for this issue. I mean, I like learn those little things and that's been very good for me. Like the last 3 years of that, that's been my whole shtick. It's like, I'm going and teaching all these classes anyway. I'm doing all this stuff. They don't really see that online and they can't see all of it. It's not going to work that way. But what I can do is shoot all these different guns in these contexts. And it's like, I can get a lot of experience for myself that way, which I've been doing. And then talk about the guns on YouTube, which that's what people want to talk about anyways, gear, right? So now, instead of doing all that, now refocus and it's like, no, you're going to shoot this gun. These are like, you're going to do the best you can with this, like this singular tool and application. It's kind of getting myself centered back on that.
Well, that seems like raw fundamental skill to me. If you could pick up any gun and, obviously you're going to be better with certain guns than others, but like if you show up to a law enforcement agency with a raced out 2011 and they're all shooting Glocks, it's kind of a weird look for you as a trainer, isn't it?
No, that'll get you like that. That would be not good. Like you'd be not the guy for that job because you'll say, hey, pull the trigger like this. And they're like, I can't do that with that. Or, you have to be, and you have to be using the same equipment. Now, when I started platform hopping, it was very difficult. Like, don't get me wrong. This was not like I can just pick it up and shoot it. It would take a lot. I think I trained with only a Glock for a couple of months before my first like Glock thing. And then as time's gone on and like I've gotten better at this skill, it's like now I can pick up like a new gun that I've not shot a lot before. And within a couple of days, I could be very proficient with it. So it's like, that has helped me. And then it helps in the teaching as well. Cause I'm not very platform specific or equipment specific with techniques that I would advocate. It's mostly like principles. It's like, hey, when you're gripping the gun, you want it to do this. When you're pulling the trigger, this is the outcome you want. And I'm not super dogmatic about how people make that happen. Right. So it's been good for me as a teacher because I've shot all these different guns and I'll be doing things slightly differently on them. I'll notice that and I'll be, oh, okay, like this makes sense. So we got to like apply these principles to all these guns.
Mm-hmm. So what 2011 are you shooting this month?
It'll be an Atlas. I think the Titan is my jam.
You have the Titan and the Athena, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which one do you prefer? The Titan?
I like the Titan better, but there's not much in it. The Athena, up a little closer, I like it more because it's a little easier to swing around, but it's more violent. It's like noticeably more violent. But again, there's not much in it. They're both. They're sick guns.
Yeah, they'll both do.
Yeah.
Is there anything top of mind for you that I didn't ask you about today? Anything that's interesting to you right now that you mentioned what's coming to the YouTube channel, but other topics that maybe we didn't discuss?
I don't think so. I think we nailed it pretty good.
I think so too. So yeah, tell people where they can find you on the old socials.
Go to bensteger.com is my website. I'm at Ben Steger on Instagram. On YouTube, I'm at bensteger187. All right, that's me. Ben Steger Pro Shop, if you want to go buy things. And I think that's pretty. You can find books on Amazon. Oh, and training group, digital coaching, practicalshootingtraininggroup.com or pstg.us, however you want to do it. There's many things happening.
Well, yeah, dude, this has been awesome. Like I've thoroughly enjoyed this, like learning about kind of some of the backstory, and I appreciate you being candid about the cancer stuff and all that, the things that I wasn't aware of, and I'm sure a lot of people.
Oh no, most people don't know anything about that shit.
Well, there you go. But yeah, thank you. I appreciate you coming out, especially for this quick turn and burn just for the day. This has been awesome.
It's way better for me.
Yeah, well, there you go. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'll have to hop in on a class one day and be frustrated and hate myself
if you
for a
want,
couple
actually.
hours. Yeah, I would love to.
Like I'll check my fucking calendar.
So that's a good question. Like for people that are thinking of taking a class like you, what should their baseline proficiency be?
Can hit an A zone. with no time limit and are like safe handling the gun.
Okay.
But that's like a higher bar than you think. You know what I mean? It'd be like you can like without being told, you can like draw it, load it, reload it, holster hot, like you can just handle your shit on the line. Like that's what matters. Beyond that, like as far as technical skill, I don't really care. It's almost better to have them be bad because then it's easier to change things.
No bad habits.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I would imagine that people are maybe they think you guys are super high speed in classes and they're
it is high speed. Like if you're shooting well, I will come and push you to shoot better. If you guys like I have national champions show up and just get crushed in classes. But they'll be standing next to a guy that's just some dude. It's how my own training works. It's like, well, as soon as it's a good result, I'm like, well, let's push it. I'm not going to try to get comfortable right now.
Makes sense to me, dude. All right, yeah. So let's do some of that grip stuff. I don't know, dude. I've never had any firearms in my YouTube videos. I don't know how it is for you, like, but I might do it as a separate video. Is what I'm saying, or just put it in the very end here.
They will. Yeah, that is a good idea.
Yeah,
they will try to. YouTube does not like me.
I don't know why. All right. Well, let's call this the end of this then. So thanks, Ben. We love you. What's up, guys? Thank you so much for taking the time to watch the interview. If you got anything out of this video at all, please like the video, leave me a comment, tell me what you thought of the video, tell me who you'd like to see on the show. I really appreciate the support. It goes a long way on these platforms, as you guys know. Most importantly, I have some excellent interviews coming up in the future that I'm really, really excited about. So please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of them. But that's it. Thank you for your support. I really appreciate it and hope to see you again soon.